All right, we all set up here? Okay. Well, welcome everybody. It's so nice to have everybody here in the chambers with us this evening. And the first piece of business is the official call to order. So I'm calling to order this business meeting of the Kalamazoo City Commission for Monday, April 21st, 2025. Next, roll call.
Commissioner Cooney.
Present.
Commissioner Decker.
Present.
Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Pradle.
Present.
Commissioner Wilson.
Present.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. May I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Hoffman from this meeting?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Hess, supported by Commissioner Cooney. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Motion passes. For our opening ceremony this evening, we are honored to have Rabbi Simone Schicker here from the Temple B'nai Israel, and she will be coming forward to help us get started. And when she begins, I'm going to ask everybody here in the chambers to stand for that invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Rabbi.
We gather here this evening to do the work of our city, to hear from our leaders and to hear from our constituents. We are here to take action and to recognize that the actions taken impact individuals, families, and communities. We know that many in our community are suffering from hunger, from homelessness, from loneliness. We know that many in our community are looking for hope in a dark moment in our history. We look to our leadership for guidance and give thanks for the guidance and care shown. As members of the City Commission, you represent all residents of Kalamazoo, regardless of race, religion, or creed. I offer this blessing, this prayer of gratitude, based on the prayer of UU Minister Eugene Pickett, as published in Mishkan Tefillah, a Reform Siddur. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks to our Creator. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, we give thanks to our Creator. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, we give thanks to our Creator. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, we give thanks to our Creator. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, we give thanks to our Creator. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, we give thanks to our Creator. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, we give thanks to our Creator. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, God, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. May each of you, our leaders, recognize the importance of your role and lead us with compassion, thoughtfulness, and vision. May gratitude for life's blessings come easily from your lips. May you be blessed in your going and your coming. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. I appreciate that. We have quite a list of proclamations this evening, and just in advance of those 5 proclamations and our next action here, I'm going to suggest that we move the Western Michigan University hockey team up to the top of the list for the proclamations rather than at the bottom of the list. That's a gift, gentlemen. And then that said, are there any changes anybody like to see on the City Commission? Any items moved from the regular agenda to from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? All right, seeing none, then with that one small change, our agenda goes forward. And so now we're at proclamations. And one of the wonderful things that we get to do is recognize important activities that happen in our community, people, who are doing great things in our community and important things that we support in the world. And we do that through proclamations. So this evening, we have a series of them, but the first one is honoring the Western Michigan University Men's Ice Hockey Team 2025 NCAA National Champions. Now, Professor Cooney is going to be reading the proclamation. I'm going to bring it down here with another special recognition. So anyone who's here to accept it, if you want to try to come forward and right up here in front of the dais, we'll figure out how that's going to work.
Here's the coach. Okay, the captain. Oh, nice guy.
Come on over here. Come on, make room. Good looking guy still, Pat? Need some great hair supporting this thing. Yeah, we gotta get Dan up here.
Set?
Yeah.
Whereas the city of Kalamazoo proudly honors the Western Michigan University Broncos men's ice hockey team for winning the 2025 NCAA Division I National Championship, the first in program history. And whereas the Broncos finished the season with a program record 34 total wins, including 19 victories in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, and captured a clean sweep of honors: Penrose Cup, regular season champion, NCHC Conference champion, NCAA regional champion, and ultimately national champion. And whereas under the leadership of head coach and WMU alumnus Pat Ferschweiler, the team showcased exceptional grit, determination, and sportsmanship, earning admiration from across the nation and bringing pride to Kalamazoo. And whereas this historic run united the campus and city, inspired future generations, and elevated Kalamazoo's presence on the national sports stage, now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and the citizens of Kalamazoo and David Anderson, Mayor of the city, we hereby proclaim our heartfelt congratulations and admiration to the Western Michigan University's men's ice hockey team for their 2025 NCAA National Championship, an extraordinary season of grit, excellence, and Bronco pride. And I think the mayor has the key to the city to present to the coach.
So this is rare indeed, actually. And not everybody's going to get a key, so you're going to have to ask this guy if you want to use it. But from the city, for all of you, this doesn't just happen without hard work. And that's the work that we have to do together, to build a world that we want it to be. The kind of activities that you exemplify by committing to something and accomplishing it is an example for all of us. So thank you so very much for being that example. And here is a key to the city of Kalamazoo.
Thank you. Well, certainly all success starts with leadership at the top, so thankful for my athletic director who gives us guidance and support and a true path to success at all times. Thankful for my coaching staff. I think we have the best coaching staff in college hockey, and they supply these guys with a path to success at all times. The leadership in our hockey team is incredible. Tim Washi, unfortunately, our captain, is not here, but our other leaders certainly are. And we're thankful and happy that we could pay back the city of Kalamazoo for their support, the Western Michigan University with their support, with our effort and our victory. Thank you. Come on. Come on, boys. Come on, you gotta tighten it up. Tighten up, Smokey. Oh, get the trophy out there. E, get in there, E. Don't let him box you out like that. Good. Awesome. Hold on, one more. Somebody grab your trophy. Thank you.
All right, on to our next proclamation for Architecture Week, April 13th through 19th, 2025. Could we please have a representative come up for receiving this proclamation? Give folks time to come up. All right. Whereas Architecture Week is an annual public celebration recognized the third week of April and hosted by American Institute of Architects Southwest Michigan Chapter and the Kalamazoo members of the National Organization of Minority Architects Detroit Chapter, and whereas founded in 1971 during the AIA National Convention in Detroit, NOMA's mission is rooted in a rich legacy of activism to foster justice and equity in communities of color through outreach, community advocacy, professional development, and design excellence. NOMA and AIA Southwest Michigan Kalamazoo members have united to promote the field of architecture to Kalamazoo K-12 students as initiated in 2017 by Hayward Babinaw, a Kalamazoo native and a member of AIA SWM and NOMA Detroit. And whereas AIA SWM, originally called the Western Michigan Chapter, chartered in 1923, represents over 10 counties and over 100 individual members, including architects, associates, and allied design professionals who advocate for sound community design and responsible stewardship of the built environment, and upholds the AIA Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. And whereas AIA Southwest Michigan has promoted design excellence for over 100 years, advocating for public safety in design and participation at legislative events state and nationwide, engaging with local building planners and officials, and whereas Architecture Week features building tours, construction site visits, AIA Southwest Michigan's Explore app, NOMA-led K-12 events throughout the year, and public display of local work celebrating architecture and the built environment in Kalamazoo, enlightening people of all ages about the importance and appreciation of architecture in our daily lives. And whereas architecture reflects the richness of the nation's diverse heritage and the vitality of its spirit, architects have combined advances in building technology with design innovation to enliven our cities and communities and improve our quality of life. And whereas the built environment influences our well-being, elevating aesthetics of the spaces in which we inhabit through innovative and responsive design of public and private projects, shaping our interactions, enhancing our experiences, and reflects our cultural diversity. And whereas Kalamazoo has breadth and quality of architecture from a variety of distinct stylistic eras found in historic neighborhoods, including 7 districts and sites listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And whereas the architecture of Kalamazoo is nationally recognized for its quality of design planning and reflects, promotes, and celebrates the cultural heritage and values of our community. And whereas during Architecture Week, we recognize the architects and design professionals whose creativity and dedication enrich our communities and elevate our quality of life, and recognizes architects as a force of positive change and appreciate their contributions within our community. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and our Mayor, David F. Anderson, of the City of Kalamazoo, do hereby proclaim the 3rd week of April as Architecture Week in celebration of the positive long-term contribution of architects and in recognition of the American Institute of Architects, Southwest Michigan chapter, and the Kalamazoo members of National Organization of Minority Architects, Detroit chapter, for their excellence and contributions to shaping our communities, improving health, safety, and welfare through design in Kalamazoo. Thank you.
We just want to say thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity for Architecture Week. We just want to thank the community that we work in. This community has allowed us to do some very great projects. We work with a lot of people at the city. We work with a lot of great developers here. And, you know, our mission is, and one of my missions is to try to help spread the word of architecture to our youth, whether it's women in the field of architecture and minorities in the field of architecture. So I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to my fellow board members and fellow other architects that have came out here today. And we just want to make sure we continue the great work that is being done here in the city of Kalamazoo.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you, architects. Our next proclamation is April as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month. And will whoever's here for Kalamazoo Valley Community College please come forward? And this is so apropos in a city that is so rich in educational opportunities. Thank you for being here. So this is for April 2025 as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month. Whereas the more than 1,000 community and technical colleges, public and private, in the United States have contributed enormously to the richness and accessibility of American higher education. More than 40% of all undergraduate college students in the nation today are enrolled in community colleges. And whereas by providing educational opportunities at costs and locations accessible to all who are qualified. Community and technical colleges have greatly enhanced the opportunity for every ambitious student to enter a post-secondary school program. As community-based institutions, our institutions provide varied programs and offer specialized training for thousands of occupations. And whereas this community has been served by Kalamazoo Valley Community College since 1966, supporting the advancement of Southwest Michigan by developing strong industry partnerships and providing state-of-the-art training and educational experiences. And whereas Kalamazoo Valley Community College is an accredited institution by the Higher Learning Commission and is accredited by several nationally recognized programmatic accreditors, including American Culinary Federation Education Foundation Accrediting Commission, Committee on Accreditation of Educational Programs for the Emergency Medical Services Professions, Medical Assisting Education Review Board, Commission on Accreditation for Respiratory Care, Commission on Dental Accreditation, Accreditation Commission for Education and Nursing, American Alliance of Museums, Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, Michigan Sheriff's Association, Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, Automotive Service Excellence Education Foundation, and Michigan Firefighters Training Council. And whereas approximately 9,000 students of all ages and backgrounds annually attend Kalamazoo Valley Community College to receive a superb education and earn degrees, certificates, and training that help them become skilled members of the workforce, that propels economic growth and encourages learning and culture. And whereas Kalamazoo Valley Community College has been instrumental in revitalizing the city of Kalamazoo with the Arcadia Commons campus, Center for New Media, Kalamazoo Valley Museum, and the Bronson Healthy Living Campus. And now therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, we do hereby recognize April 2025 as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month in the City of Kalamazoo. Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you, Mayor Anderson, Vice Mayor Hess, all of the members of the commission, also City Manager Ritzma. It's just a pleasure to be here with you all as we continue to live out our mission to create innovative and equitable opportunities to empower all to learn, grow, and thrive at a reasonable rate. We meet students where they are to try to eliminate every barrier that they may have to ensure that they have the opportunity to reach whatever level of success they desire. So it's just a pleasure to be in a community that supports us, continues to support education, and also is rooting for everybody that's a resident and a member of this community to be successful, and just continue to make Kalamazoo a great place that we all know and live in. So thank you all for this proclamation, and I hope you all enjoy your evening. Thank you.
And we are on to our next proclamation of the evening, National Work Zone Awareness Week, if we have anyone here to accept that. National Work Zone Awareness Week, April 21st through 25, 2025. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Whereas, the City of Kalamazoo recognizes that road construction and maintenance is vital for a safe, well-maintained transportation system for all Kalamazoo area families and businesses. And whereas, we must protect construction, maintenance, and utility workers who courageously put their lives on the line to improve the safety and quality of life of those traveling area roads. And whereas, the 2025 National Work Zone Awareness Week theme is Work Zones Are Temporary, Actions Behind the Wheel Can Last Forever. And whereas, most often, drivers or their passengers are killed or injured in work zone crashes. And whereas, the most work zone crashes are caused by inattentive or distracted drivers, and speeding is the leading cause of fatal work zone crashes. And whereas, Work Zone Awareness Week is an opportunity to raise awareness for worker and road user safety by planning ahead, reducing speeds, minimizing distractions, and expecting the unexpected when approaching and passing work zones. And whereas, the City of Kalamazoo is dedicated to investing in safe and reliable road infrastructure to the Kalamazoo community and call on our federal and state partners to bring much-needed funding and innovation to protect and restore our critical road infrastructure. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, do hereby recognize work zone safety is essential to the life of our construction workers and acknowledge the importance of educating the public about safe driving in construction zones during the National Work Zone Awareness Week campaign from April 21st through April 25 of 2025, and encourage all residents to pay attention, slow down, and go orange Wednesday, April 23rd for Work Zone Awareness Day.
We thank you very much. Here to accept this in honor of the Department of Public Services. We'd like to reach out to the community and ask for everybody's help and support in making 2025 a safe construction season. Thank you.
This final proclamation was provided to us from the AFL-CIO, and I don't think there's anyone here to accept it. Well, Commissioner Prado will read it.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. We have one more proclamation. We might need the Guinness World Record folks here for the most proclamations in one night. All right, so tonight, the last one is on proclamation on Workers' Memorial Day, which is April 28, 2025. Whereas on April 28, 1971, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, went into effect promising every worker the right to a safe job. And whereas every year on April 28th, communities and work sites around the world honor friends, family members, and colleagues who have been killed or injured on the job. And whereas the U.S. Department of Labor and the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that Michiganders have died while on the job at an average rate of 147 people per year over the last decade. And whereas it is appropriate to honor the memory of the courageous and dedicated members of the Michigan labor force who have been injured or disabled or have died as a result of workplace accidents. And whereas we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes, suffered occupational-related diseases, or have been injured due to the dangerous conditions. And whereas the City of Kalamazoo wishes to pay tribute to the workers who have died and been injured or disabled in workplace accidents. We honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety. And whereas the City of Kalamazoo renews our efforts to seek stronger workplace safety and health protections, better standards and enforcements, and fair and just compensation, and we rededicate ourselves to improving safety and health in every workplace. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and Mayor David F. Anderson, do hereby proclaim April 28, 2025 as Workers' Memorial Day in the City of Kalamazoo.
Thank you, Commissioner Prado, and everyone who read a proclamation this evening. Now we're going to actually circle back around to the adoption of the formal agenda. And once again here, are there any items that will be changed here on the agenda? Manager Ritzma?
Thank you, Mayor. Items 12 to 14 on the consent agenda are being pulled as we're awaiting final signatures.
So that's G 12, 13, and 14?
Correct.
Look, are being pulled. Okay. And Commissioners, I did already ask this, but there's no items you want to move from the consent to the regular. All right. We'll go forward then. Communications, Manager Ritzma.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. Now is the opportunity for public comments at our business meeting. Just as a reminder, this is not an opportunity for dialogue, but it is an opportunity for anyone who attends this meeting in person to be able to speak to a topic that is important to them. You'll have 4 minutes. Please come forward, state your name and whether you live in the city.
Hi, my name is Kay, and so this commission needs to do better. I think that the situation with the Civil Rights Board is a blatant example of the city's lack of commitment to do better, and the barriers that people who want to see change in this city experience from the top. And I know there was a lot of people here criticizing Mayor Anderson for not approving Lewis Smith to the Civil Rights Board. And it's not the first time that this city, this commission, has failed the Civil Rights Board. And actually made a post on Facebook about this and pulled up a meeting from May 2022 where after the Fair Housing Ordinance was passed, it ended up not being enforced the way that it was supposed to. And the Civil Rights Board expressed their anger and frustration at the fact that they weren't even part of the process anymore. The way that this ordinance was presented to the community, the way that the media presented to the community was very different than the way that it was being the lack of enforcement. And I think that that speaks to how the city takes for granted the efforts that people put forward when they're trying to make a difference in the city, and the opposition that is felt when we come before you, when we see how you vote, when we see that you're really invested in housing, Mayor Anderson, and yet we have a housing crisis. We have statistics that say that Black and brown people are not experiencing wealth like white people. We have all of these discrepancies that are systemic. They're systemic issues. Every time I'm outside and I just like go downtown and I check on people and I'm like, I can't believe that we are so like desensitized. Like, we think that it's okay for 1 or 2 people to be in the streets, for 1 or 2 people to be suffering because, like, crime reduction, you know, crime is down 15%, and a homelessness, like 5 homeless people got some kind of housing. Like, we need to do an overhaul. Like, this requires real systemic change, and especially in this political climate, like, we're seeing how, like, state reps, how politicians, where they are aligning. Because the inaction now, it shows the alignment, and it's extreme. Y'all see with Trump, it's extreme. People's rights are getting violated left and right, and we're talking about that, but we still have a housing crisis. We have a homelessness crisis. We have children going hungry. We have people still living in lead housing. Like, I mean, when are we going to like start doing something? Because now we're going against the grain. If you try to do something now, you're going against what this nation is doing, what Trump is doing, what his administration is doing. I see nothing different from this commission. And it's time that we see y'all stand with the people. It's time that we see y'all really take your position seriously, because you're all about to get replaced.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Zwart. I'm an attorney here in Kalamazoo and one of the coaches of the Kalamazoo Central High School mock trial team.
And my name is Samuel Noakes. I'm a student at Kalamazoo Central and a member of the Kalamazoo Central mock trial team.
We're just here today to thank the city government for the support that it's shown the team over the last 2 years. As many of you know, you've generously allowed us to use these chambers on the weekends for our practices.
Providing this space for our team to practice was invaluable in helping us win our 22nd state championship in Lansing this year. Because of your help, Kalamazoo Central will be representing Michigan at the National Mock Trial Tournament. Our team will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to compete throughout the second week of May.
And I should add, that's 22 state championships that Kalamazoo Central has won out of 38 attempts, something that I know you're all proud of, the brilliant kids we have here. We'd also like to extend a special thanks to the staff of City Hall who have generously shared their space with us, to the recently retired Jeff Chamberlain and to Patricia Vargas, who have been very kind points of contact for the team, to K Central alum Chris Pradle, Commissioner Pradle, who's been very helpful throughout. And just as a point of pride for this city, we faced 70 other teams this year and came away with another state championship. Kalamazoo Central has won one national championship in 1996. They've placed in the top 4 other times. That's more than any other team in the nation. And I know that this city has been very proud of its brilliant kids, and that's why our kids are so proud to represent a city that supports them.
From the students at Kalamazoo Central to the city government of Kalamazoo, thank you for your help and support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. My name is Wendy Flora, and I live in the city of Kalamazoo. I also serve on the Isaac Leadership Board and Executive Committee. I've been reviewing prior city commission meetings and speaking with some members of the Civil Rights Board, and I have some concerns about the process for appointing members to the Civil Rights Board, as well as how the CRB is treated as a board. It seems that applicants are not moving forward for commission approval, even though they are qualified and willing to serve. I've read the bylaws for the CRB, and any potential conflicts of interest are specifically addressed in both the CRB bylaws as well as the city charter. My concern is that there are vacancies on the board, and it makes no sense that appointments don't move forward for approval. It is my understanding that the nominating committee of the CRB reviews the applicants, and their recommendations are passed along for approval. How many other applicants will be rejected prior to them coming to the City Commission? This appears to be an unnecessary roadblock. This also creates barriers to the CRB and can render them ineffective. Please move forward with recommendations from the Civil Rights Board for appointments, as is the practice for other city boards. This is a difficult time in our country, in our city, and it is a time in which our Civil Rights Board needs all seats filled and needs to be able to do fair housing work without systemic barriers and obstacles.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Ray Sweeney. I'm a resident of the city of Kalamazoo. I've praised you in the past for all that you have done to encourage an increase of affordable housing. It is important to make sure that this availability of affordable housing be shared with all of our compatriots. I would like to ask you for your assistance in making happen a fair housing ordinance that can fulfill the efforts that began with the election of Patrice Griffin to the City Commission right about just before the pandemic. Knowing her life experience provided me the motivation to expand the protections of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Law to include protection for people who have had previous evictions or who are returning citizens. Then it was important to cover the source of income among those protections. However, now protection from discrimination based on income is protected in state law. Although the ordinance was passed in 2020, it hasn't been fully developed the ways I had hoped. For example, the Civil Rights Board was created, but it has largely not become the entity that could make sure that the ordinance would provide the protections that it was enacted to accomplish. At present, the board has been bypassed and is not operating in a manner that could ascertain when rampant discrimination is practiced within the boundaries of the city. At present, there are vacancies on the board that must be filled. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ray. Next, please.
Evening. My name is Meg Adams, and I do reside in the city. And I'm speaking today as a member of Isaac and also as a community member concerned about how the city upholds its own ethics code and its claim to strive to be an anti-racist organization. I mean, in your ethics codes, do you live up to the purpose that we citizens of Kalamazoo are entitled to a fair, ethical, and accountable local government that has earned the public's full confidence for integrity and acts of public interest? Yes, I've stood before you now. This is my third time asking why an application for Lewis Smith has not been brought forth to one of these meetings since that recommendation from the Civil Rights Board in February. And yes, the last time I did stand here and say I knew that Mayor Anderson had denied the application. And I appreciate that Mayor Anderson took the time to meet with myself and some other people to discuss this. And in it we did discuss, he shared what his opinion was about a conflict of interest to have a county attorney appointed to a board in the city. And also in the meeting that it wasn't just about a conflict, you know, that at times the city and the county are in adversarial situations. But I still say before you, how is this any different when a mayor who is a city person sits on a county board and on top of that is the executive director for housing and integrated services? And let's be clear, Lewis Smith is not acting as an attorney on this board. It's his legal expertise that we're seeking on the Civil Rights Board. And there are bylaws right here, and we read them that day when we were meeting together, that address twice how to address anything that was actually brought up as a concern under sections 3.6 and 5.7. And just like your ethics and Commissioner Pradel did in our last meeting, you will abstain when there is a conflict of interest. And so I still stand before you. I don't understand why we did not extend this courtesy to Lewis Smith. As I mentioned in this meeting with Mayor Anderson, you know that Lewis Smith can take any of your positions here. He can run as an elected official. And what will we do as a county attorney, and he sits on our board? And Mayor Anderson agreed he could do nothing except you'd follow your policies for a code of ethics. So if it works for you, why doesn't it work for the Civil Rights Board? So then it brings me more to, I'm more concerned about then the system that's in place that allows one individual, in this case the mayor, to deny a recommendation to the board. The value, as we see, this value is often seen as power hoarding that often shapes white institution where there is no check and balance to any bias that the person that holds this power may have. And so I'm wondering, since many of you in the City Commission now know what's going on, what have you been doing about this system? The County Review Board continues to have 3 vacancies. And so I ask you, is this system in place equitable for all people as you strive to be an anti-racist organization? I mean, the harm's already been done in our community, especially to Black and brown community in this decision alone. And I'll end by this. It was a missed opportunity by the mayor and this board, this city commission, to demonstrate that you are listening and acting in public interest, not only to your boards, but using transformational anti-racist values to address this kind of system that currently shapes the city's institution, that moves from that single individual power to action to include power sharing, which is much more cooperative, collaborative, and it's a way of holding the city accountable, not only to the Civil Rights Board, but to the people that you serve and the people that are directly affected by housing discrimination. Thank you, and I look forward to any comments that you could share.
Thank you so much. Next, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Faison. I live in Township, but my work directly impacts the city of Kalamazoo. I currently serve as a housing task force lead, canvassing coordinator, and a community organizer for Isaac. I'm the executive director of Participatory Defense Movement Kalamazoo, as well as the chair for the Civil Rights Board. First, I want to take the time to say thank you, Mayor Anderson, for taking the time to meet with us and listen to our concerns about Attorney Lewis's appointment. You mentioned that you would take everything into consideration, and I hope that this comment further adds to that reflection, because the way that this decision is felt deeply in our community. I also want to take the time to thank every community member who bravely speaks during public comment, sharing personal experiences of housing insecurity and systemic barriers. It takes real courage to stand here and humanize the disparities that often go unseen. My role is to amplify those voices, especially the ones too often left unheard, and to stand in solidarity with them. This journey has been frustrating and at times disheartening. Vice Chair Lukeman, Director Calderon, Director Burpee, and I, we are the four that are currently on the Civil Rights Board. We have been working tirelessly to rebuild community trust. Our collective commitment is to ensure that this board remains deeply rooted in engagement, equity, and accountability. A critical part of that trust is honoring community input, especially when it comes to board appointments. The CRB voted unanimously to appoint Attorney Lewis Smith, not just because of his credentials, but because of his clear commitment to justice and community empowerment. He completed every step of the process, met every requirement, and the board, he had the board's support. Yet his appointment was denied, and not due to any violation of bylaws, but due to hypothetical what-if scenarios, as if he were acting as an individual. But let it be clear, the Civil Rights Board operates as a collective body. No single person makes a decision. That's the entire point of our structure. This type of collective decision-making ensures that all voices are heard and that we are not moving in a white supremacy culture. By denying Lou's appointment, a precedent right now is being set, one that suggests that our board, that our community do not have a meaningful voice in choosing who represents them. That's not just a procedural issue, that's a trust issue. And if we can't trust that our shared recommendations are respected and honored, what message are we truly sending to those that we serve? Community trust isn't given, it's earned. And as of right now, that trust is in jeopardy due to what appears to be a pattern of power hoarding. As leaders, community members, we must set aside personal interests and commit ourselves to what truly matters, and that is the well-being of the city of Kalamazoo. Our decisions and actions must be transparent, accountability, and guided by a racial equity lens that centers the voices and the needs of those who have already been impacted by systemic harm. So in the spirit of transparency and collaboration, I warmly invite each of you to our next upcoming Civil Rights Board meeting, April 30th at 5 p.m. here in City Chambers. Your presence and engagement will not only reflect a shared commitment to equity and accountability, but also strengthen that bridge.
Thank you. Next, please.
Evening to our mayor, to our vice mayor, commissioners, staff. My name is Charlotte Davis and I work with Isaac. I want to open and close with some quotes. Hey, but this is what I don't understand. What's your past got to do with it? Know what I'm saying? Everyone on this earth has made mistakes. And why do they still convict us for the things that we have done? I'm a man, almost 65 years old. Why are you still convicting me for something in the past? Why do they do that? Look, I went to prison in 1993. They are still convicting me about it. This was a quote from an older Black gentleman in 2018, our listening sessions on housing equity. And I do believe that those who are impacted, they should be at the center of this work and their voices should be honored and listened to. Now, I appreciate the difficulty of your roles as elected officials, and thank you. But in all honesty, I am trying to lean to wonder. I am wondering about the intention that you all have for our Civil Rights Board, our city Civil Rights Board. Thank you to the one commissioner who spoke to that during the last meeting. This is the time, you all. We see what is going on. It's been mentioned before. It looks like history is trying to repeat itself, and we either fold and perpetuate white supremacy or we resist white supremacy. And that's where many of us are in the audience tonight. We are determined to resist white supremacy. So just a little history. We are always thankful to Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin for sharing her housing brief years back, and that she had researched and wrote as she was the catalyst for this needed work in the Housing Equity Ordinance and the Civil Rights Board, which we know, of course, is not only about housing, but around discrimination around identity. So in our listening sessions in 2018, we heard time and time again similar experiences that spoke to systemic inequities. So again, by definition, equity refers to fairness. It refers to justice, inequality, the same to all. So equity must acknowledge and adjust imbalances. The Civil Rights Board, the directors, the teams, they're trying to do this in word and deed. So my question to you all as elected officials is, where are you adjusting imbalances through policies and practices? And I'm asking you all as decision makers. I sincerely appreciate all the hard work that our committed CRB chair, vice chair, board members, city staff, commissioner liaison, the committees continue to put forth and put in, working hard beyond systemic barriers and obstacles. Our Civil Rights Board still has 3 vacancies, but they're working tirelessly. So I am still wondering why the denial of qualified applicants. I'm wondering why all of you, not just our mayor, would not have a conversation about the CRB appointment using an equity and anti-racism lens. Final quote here. I hope that we as a collective unit, unified unit, bring some resolve, because I sat in a committee like this several years ago. They named the former commissioner, and I attended forums like this. And we got a big promise from, oh, we're gonna fix housing, we're gonna build affordable housing. That was, again, someone from the listening sessions. And when I did that math, those listening sessions happened in 2003. You all, it is 2025. It is 2025. I'm going to say that one more time. It's 2025. The time is now. We want to do this work with you all in collaboration. I do not want another listening session where people are saying, I said this time and time again, without us doing and acting. Action, not just words.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Caleb. I live in Ashtamo, but work in the city for Isaac, and I'm also on the Isaac Housing Task Force. I'm here tonight to address the Civil Rights Board. This board was created nearly 5 years ago, 1,686 days to be exact. And yet, the Housing Equity Ordinance is still not enforceable, even though it was passed unanimously. With recent efforts to amend the ordinance and fill empty seats on the board, I'm left feeling concerned and honestly confused. So I have some questions. How does an unenforceable housing equity ordinance help us? How does a half-filled Civil Rights Board protect us looking for safe, quality housing? How are the decisions being made by some of our elected officials in our best interest? How does having fewer protections in our community make for a better Kalamazoo? If the response is, well, those violations don't really happen, then this should be the easiest ordinance to enforce. Because if no one is violating it, no one should have a problem with enforcing it. These questions aren't meant to be accusatory, they're genuine. I know leadership involves hard choices, but if there's a clear, honest explanation for how the delays and decisions being made are truly benefiting people like me, I'd like to hear it. Because from where I stand, it feels like my concerns and the concerns of community members are being ignored. It feels like there's a lot of political theater happening by some of our elected officials instead of meaningful progress. Again, it has been almost 5 years. How has the work done by the Civil Rights Board in that time actually helped me? How much longer should we have to wait, and who exactly is this delay serving? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
It's me again, Tina McClinton. I live on Lake Street. I live in the known floodplain area that you guys refuse to fix. I live where the storm drains flood out the streets, and your city sewers back up in the streets and back up into the groundwater where you get the water from. We need to save green spaces, not destroy them, guys. I know you can build everywhere, but I see on the agenda, it's now that you ran Bright Eyes Brewery out of business by the construction that you did and not fixing the flooding problem. I see you're trying to buy Bright Eyes Brewery, and now you're buying another, I think it's the car lot on the corner. So you take those two properties and you build them up higher than our homes, and what are you gonna do but increase flooding for us even more? There's so much conflict of interest on this board. Some of you have your hands dipped everywhere that you can possibly dip it, in everything. And you just look at us like, they can talk, we don't care what they got to say, and you never fix anything. It's been 8 years, guys, come on. I've been doing this since 2018, every single meeting, asking you to fix the flooding. Not in Arcadia Creek, because it doesn't flood there, but you got the money to fix for Arcadia Creek. That was fixed years ago, but you refuse to fix it in our neighborhood. We are a poor neighborhood, we are a very diversified neighborhood, and all you want to do is keep building high buildings and flooding us out more. You should care about your residents a little bit more than what you do. I'm sorry, but this is the way I'm beginning to feel, because it's been 8 long years of having to worry about every time it rains. Am I going to get out of my house? Am I going to get back home? What's the flooding going to do? Is it going to destroy my furnace? Is it going to destroy my water? You know, it leaves nasty sewage in our basements. This is the city's problem to fix this problem. We shouldn't have sewage floating in the streets every time it floods. Come on, guys. If it was your home in your nice areas, this wouldn't happen. It does not happen in the chosen areas of Kalamazoo. And Kalamazoo, now you want to get us for trash? When you look at every city property, over there by the crosstown ponds, there's so much trash all over the place in the ponds. You even have a barrel sitting there. And now you want to fine residents to pay for what you're paying people to clean up when you don't even clean city properties? Come on, guys. The house on Lake Street, right by Bank Street Market, you tore it down, it burnt twice. Now there's a whole bunch of people living there. There's tires all over by the railroad tracks. There's trash everywhere. But you left these people with nowhere to live. You tore down the building and just let it sit there like rubble. And you want us to make our neighborhoods look nice. But when you find burnt buildings just sitting there for years, when you could take those buildings, you could tear them down. Take some of this money, tear them down. Build small apartments for people. Build small houses on these lots. You can do so much with all these vacant lots, with all these burnt up buildings, just sitting there for decades. Come on, guys. I thought Kalamazoo was better than this. I'm from Kalamazoo. I've lived in my house for 38 years. 38 years. I've been in Kalamazoo all my life. Kalamazoo is a mess. You've made it such a mess when you let the rich take over you, and you let the rich run what the city boards do. You lost the care for people. You lost the heart for caring for people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Amanda Charbonneau. I live about 400 feet behind y'all in the apartments above the library. And I had to miss last month. I was really sick. But at the end of the meeting before that, Mayor Anderson said something that's stuck with me since then. You had a lot of people coming and talking to you about how you weren't doing a good job and taking your jobs and all of these things. And he gave everybody a pep talk at the end that you're all doing your best and that, you know, you make the decisions that you make and you hope that they're going to work in the future and that you guys don't get enough praise. And so I wanted to come this time and be positive and tell you about the good things. I wanted to thank you. So when I moved here, it was like 7 months ago now, I think. And we didn't move for my job or a family or anything like that. We just moved because it looked nice. And when I moved here, we had to leave all of our friends behind because they can't just move because it looks nice. And it's hard to find friends in a new city, so I started coming here. And I have learned so much by coming to these meetings. I get to learn all about Kalamazoo. I get to learn about all of the things that people are doing who have dedicated their lives to caring for it. And it's kind of extraordinary that people come together on Monday nights when everyone else is at home watching TV to really try to make the city work. I just feel a lot more connected to my community, even just in a small way, because I come here. And it's kind of extraordinary that you've gotten together this group of people with different races and backgrounds and life experiences that I've started to think of as, I don't know, acquaintances, kind of sort of friends, something like that. There's so many things that happen in here and so many really good people. And I am really glad that I have met all of these people because I think they're really doing the work that needs to be done, and they're doing their best, and they're trying to make the community really good. And I'm really sad that all of them come here to yell at you. I am really glad, though, that you guys have made the decisions that have brought together all of these people. I would never have met Kay. I would never have met Tina. I would never have met all of these people on the City Rights Council if you guys hadn't made all of these decisions that made all of these other people feel like they had to come and talk to you in order to keep the city working. And so I really appreciate it. You guys have made so many people angry that I have a whole slew of new friends who are actually trying to help the community and actually trying to make things better. And I never would have met them without you. So thanks for that. And I've heard before that you are the company you keep. And I'm really glad that I have this company.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Shona Espinoza, and I live in the city. Y'all should do better in so many different ways. Hold yourself accountable. Stop being the yes man to somebody that's sitting up here, even though you know your morals and that you know better. Stop saying yes, 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 because the money is involved. The money is the problem. Come out here and realize that there is a problem that money can't fix if you're not going to use it in the correct way. Stop building unnecessary things. Stop building things that are unnecessary, that are only going to make the city look better, or something that you want to look at or bring in rich people. Yes, the city of Kalamazoo is rich, but look at how you're treating the people that live in it. You're treating them as they're less than. They're nobodies. They're not important. Everybody that lives here, everybody that's out on the street, everybody that looks different than you is important. They mean something. They make this city who it is and what it is. Y'all forget that election year is coming up, and there's several of you that are up for re-election. There are going to be people that are going to take your seats. Why? Because you're not doing what is expected in your job. That is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make sure that this city is thriving, that people have homes, that it's livable, that rent isn't too damn high, that your police force is respecting the citizens that are in this county. But you're not. You're okay with the harassment. You're okay with people being out on the street. You're okay with our children suffering out on the street because there's nowhere for them to go. You're okay with all the barriers that are put in place to help many different people in this community. You're okay to sit on boards just so you can have a title or say you're sitting on that board. Because if you sit on many housing boards and there's a housing crisis and you're a mayor, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should look at yourself and say, I'm doing something wrong. I need to ask people for help. Stop aligning your pockets and these seats to make yourself look like you're somebody special, because we don't believe in who you are. You're not important to us because you're not doing your job. We should not have to come up here and feel the way that we do because you don't care about what's going on in the city. You more care about the money that's going to come to you and your pockets and those that look like you. That's not what's important. Our children deserve better. They deserve somewhere to live that is safe. And those that are sitting in these seats and our elected officials and those that are supposed to be doing their job to protect them and serve, to protect them, to keep them safe. But many of us that are black and brown are not safe with KDPS. You are their boss. You should make sure they're out here doing what they're supposed to, not out here harassing people because they look different than them. Do better. Do better. We all come up here saying that we will help you, stand with you, and do the work. But even though you think that you're ignoring us, not communicating with us, not asking for help, we're going to do this work one way or the other, and we're going to unseat you one at a time every single election until you do better.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name Kayla. I'm 23. Where I stay at, I'm homeless, so I can't even tell you where I stay at. I just want to let you guys know, like, I know you guys like in houses and shower every day and, you know, in a home every day. But the mission, I'm kind of nervous. I don't do this. So the mission, I don't go on the mission. I've been on the streets for a long time because the mission, they have bugs. They have bed bugs, and we get bit on. People get stabbed in there. There's drugs in there. And I just feel like you guys should make another shelter for us because some people out there, when we sleep outside, we get stabbed up. Be in a hospital. It'd be a lot of stuff going on outside that you guys don't even know about. It ain't like police gonna help because as soon as we sleep at Arcadia Park, we get locked up. As soon as we sleep at a park, we get locked up. Everywhere we go, we get locked up. We guys can't set our tents nowhere. We can't do nothing. So what we supposed to do? I'm sorry for crying, but like serious, what we supposed to do? Because going to jail is not it. When we be trying and I'm young and I'm trying. Then doing the house it's not it. And like people don't help. They don't help at all. They just pick who they want to help with. And I feel like that's unfair because who can I talk to without judging me or saying I'm a bomb? Like I go to work now. I don't take showers. I wear the same clothes. I get T's on. I get all that, and I just feel like you guys should help us. Like serious help us. And if I have to get on my knees for you guys to help us, all of us in the community, I will. That's all I'm asking for because we trying our best to stay out of trouble. It's hard for us. It's real hard when we don't have people that listen to us and help us. The mission of the community don't help us. They ban people for a year. People got to sleep outside in the winter. And what we supposed to do? I just feel like it should be more stuff out there for us. I know that you guys probably think we disgusting or don't like us or any of that, but I just feel like it's more stuff out there you guys should do. And I'm sorry for coming up here like this, but I just want better for the community. I just want you guys just to please help us. One day we wish we was like y'all, but some people didn't grow up like you guys. Some people grew up in foster care and other stuff like me. So I just feel like it should be more stuff out there. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next, please.
Charles Hanna. Kind of hard to follow that. I do want to start out by saying that I was taken aback by the honor that you gave our Broncos today. It was heartfelt for me. I've never in my life had a real reason to be proud of Kalamazoo, then they gave that to all of us, you know. But, you know, it's amazing, you know, the very night that that was happening, you know, I was at work that night and I got off work and, was celebrating and whatnot. And unfortunately, we had a young gentleman, 27 years old, security guard, trying to do right thing and stuff. And, unfortunately, he was wearing a vest, but took a shot above the vest. Didn't make it. That's tough. I get out of work, and I almost went towards there, didn't think that was going to happen. But that's just a little insight as to what it really means out here. Everyone that has spoken before me, they haven't been dishonest, And, but I mean, in fairness, there's so much that you guys do that, that it doesn't get seen. It doesn't get recognized. I will concede that. I will concede that. I will. But what I am going to say is that we just need some help out here. People are scared. We need to get the sheriff department back out at the bus stations so that the bus stations are safe from the time they start running until they stop. That's a real thing. Do you realize how many of us rely on public transportation? Has anyone been shot at the bus station in Detroit this year? I don't know. I don't think so. But they have in Kalamazoo. I'm just saying. We're better than that. Aren't we? Right? We can do that, right? I'm down there every day. I've taken it for the team. I've suffered, so I just wanted to share that with you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
I'd like to start off by pronouncing and spelling my name in reference to other states I've been to that to show my civil rights movements on stuff. So when I say that this stuff, it's out of respect, I just want you guys to do better. My name is Beau, B-E-A-U, James, J-A-M-M-E-S. If you look me up, I've made movements for everybody. Doesn't matter what color you are. All right, when I moved out here back in May, I was told, this is town to come to, they'll help you get up on your feet. They have housing, they have all these opportunities for you. I have no family. I have nothing but myself. Back in September, I had committed suicide right on you guys' alley, on the city mall, because you guys do not help. You guys say it's a felony to steal somebody's phone, but people's phones are getting stolen every day. Why are these people getting caught? Why is it that it doesn't matter who you are? If you're homeless, you can't get a job down here. You know how many times I've applied? Days on and days out, going back to the same places? I've been out here almost a year, sir. My pursuit of happiness, which is written in that Constitution, is violated by every single one of you guys, because you guys are telling these people, give us tents, give us sleeping bags. But what's the city ordinance on it? You may not camp anywhere in the city of Kalamazoo. So why is the money being wasted? We're in debt to other countries. Why are we wasting money we don't have to waste to help society and help the people that want to work? Help the people that want to do better. I am about to be 33, May 6th. I have fought for my life. I have fought for my freedom in the state of Wisconsin. I have raised issues, and I will not be afraid to do so again. Please listen to these people. Not every one of them I like. Not every one of them do I respect. But some of them that go on this stand, I can't say nothing anymore to them because I have to respect more from them. Because of people like you guys don't give us actual chance. You guys ain't doing nothing. Stand up and actually do something. Because now I can't get access to my early retirement for nerve damage because you guys closed my bank account for no reason. Don't have to give me a reason why. And I just found that out today. How am I supposed to get access to my funds when a city and the businesses in it treats the homeless like shit? Is this a zoo? Is this a zoo? It's Kalamazoo, but is it a zoo? Because that's how you treat us. That's how you treat the city. Everybody that works here does not live in the city of Kalamazoo. With that, I'll end.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Angela. I'm unhoused still. I advocate for all of these people out here, and I'm gonna tell you what, I'm so proud of most of these people that come in here because I go all week long telling them, this is what it is. You guys come out, you gotta have a voice out here. So like to have that, man, I respect everybody. Thank you guys. And you guys are doing a good job. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and judge everything you do, but I'm telling you that there's some things that I was assaulted by one of my fellow unhoused that I had trust in. And I ended up having to defend myself in a real good way. And when I did that, I felt so bad in my heart because I had to put my hands on somebody that was, you know, a little bit maybe slower than most or intoxicated, that I felt that the boundaries were going to be there. Well, when the police showed up, they stick me in the back of the cop car with handcuffs and run me my Miranda rights. And I mean, I'm just like, I was appalled. I couldn't understand why I had to protect myself like that. So I started thinking about all the other children that couldn't have defended themselves against that person that was either intoxicated or just a little too pushy, didn't know their boundaries, things like that, because there's many children that are unhoused out here, many. And I mean, like, just job shadowing with the children. I mean, I think that the kids really need to start being involved, even if they are housed, unhoused, whatever it is, to know that this is real life out here and this is what you can really get. You know, I think the kids need to understand that there needs to be more community service within the children in the community as far as KDPS goes, to let them know, you know, that you guys are not scary, that authorities are not scary. Because the first thing I always hear, even out of adults' mouths, is, I'm not calling the police. When we do call the police, they don't show up. It's, you know, and I mean, they could be, you know, somebody could be shooting a gun somewhere else or whatever, and I get that part, but like, we're still important too. There's things out there that are eviler than most at nighttime, in the daytime too, you know? So I mean, I think we need a self-defense class that's offered, and it's some kind of a curriculum for women, children, men, anybody disabled, handicapped, anything like that. Because I really, honestly, I didn't know what to do, but my instincts kicked in. But I only knew because my instincts kicked in because I've been out here fighting for this long. I mean, I've been fighting for real. But I think that that's a big deal. I think that the children need to be involved more with the outcome of, you know, being out here. This is not what they want to do. And if we can change one child's life, that might be a generational curse in the family where the mother's been, they've lost their children lose their children. Just to change one life and break that cycle, make more money for the city of Kalamazoo to have constructed criticism through us instead of sending the kids out there and being hungry and in dirty clothes and getting taken away from their parents because they don't know, you know, they're told to be quiet when they really are getting abused. Things like that need to be addressed. I mean, this is insane out here. I mean, it literally is insane. But we are all a family. When you struggle through trauma, you become a family. And these are my family. These are my people. And they deserve a chance, just like anybody else does. And it is hard to get a job out here because you are carrying a backpack and people have seen you. And people, you know, they just automatically just stereotype you. And it's terrible. And even the people that we have that are working as support systems within our community are also looking at us like that. It's discouraging, especially to women. I'm sorry, but once your self-esteem is down, it's hard to get back up. And I mean, we're big time leaders out here. I don't know about anybody else, but a woman will carry a whole ship by itself. And I mean, all we can do is just stick together and try, but I need all y'all help. I need everybody's help that can come out, help us feed, be involved with the kids, do more things with the community so nobody is scared of each other that can help us. They ain't scared to ask a question, you know, because to us, really, you know, you guys live a little different than we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
City of Kalamazoo. Sorry, Drew Duncan, City of Kalamazoo. We're here again, and our city's marginalized residents don't have the luxury of waiting while we debate appointments and political nonsense. We cannot claim to value civil rights in this city while the body tasked with defending those rights sits half empty. The silence from this commission is not neutral. It sends a message to the community. It sends a clear message. And it tells the people that it is communicating with that the issues that they are facing are unheard, that they sit in a blind spot. And so it seems that we have entered into a space where 3 words make up what's happening: blind, deaf, and dumb. We have a commission that refuses to see, after they tell us at each commission meeting that they love us, that we are clearly in a complicated relationship with its constituency. We have a commission that continues to give us 4 minutes, and we plead and beg and present statistics and stories, and it falls on deaf ears. And we face a commission that thinks that the public is dumb. And that is the most dangerous of the 3. So again, voices are not being heard, and the issues that they face are urgent. It demands people who understand the gravity of this moment that we face. We need to stop treating justice as if it is optional. We need to stop treating the Civil Rights Board as if it is not an instrument of that justice. Leadership means making calls, even when it's uncomfortable. Empathy means understanding the lived experience of your residents who feel abandoned by the very system meant to protect them. Let's be clear. No legal nuance or procedural delay justifies leaving this board inactive. This is about priorities. This is about political will. Tonight, I ask each of you that are commissioners, because we've continued to plead with the mayor on deaf ears, to do something. Step up, have conversations, get in the community. This is an issue that is shaking the foundation of our community right now. And I want to be clear, this is also not just about Black and brown people in Kalamazoo. Whites and poor folks are experiencing issues with housing as well. So it's not as simple as just saying the Black and brown people are complaining again. Tonight I ask each of you, what are you willing to risk for justice? Tonight I ask each of you, what is the legacy you want to leave to the city of Kalamazoo with the seat that you hold? It's time to act, not for appearances, but for the people who are watching, waiting, and wondering if the city still sees them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Anyone else who wants to take advantage? Yes.
Some comment. Sorry. I guess right here because I can't see them there. Hello. It's nice to be here in person. My name is Judy Lowry. I've met quite a few of you and chatted with others. I want to say the first thing is, folks, you took away our right to call in, and I'm not sure you understand how inaccessible this is for me and for anybody else that's in a wheelchair. I have 2 choices: to sit here, lean to talk to her, to see him, lean to see Commissioner Cooney, or stare at a sign. It is a little upsetting that I can't present myself in an ADA accessible manner. I'd like to compliment the staff, the city staff that did help assist me. I tried to go in the back to get around so that I could get in line, wasn't able to. You took away our right to call in at the same time that the federal government is stripping our rights too. It's a blow. It's a lot for me to get into a building like this. I happen to be doing outreach across the street in Bronson Park because I'm raising awareness for the unhoused and fundraising at the same time. I want to compliment Kayla. All I did was, she just spoke a few minutes ago. I said, does anybody want to go talk at the city meeting? People didn't want to. I asked if somebody could roll me over here, and she did. And then she got up here. She did not know what this meeting was about, so I went out in the hallway and explained. So anyways, we'll move forward real quick. I want to thank the city for stepping up and helping with the new county family shelter. I am so excited for that shelter. We've had families in hotels since January. I've turned away 26 families since then. Actually, today made 28, now that I think about it. I had to ask the YWCA, CPS, ISK to quit referring families because we were booked up with the amount of funds that we had, like the second weekend. I want to thank the city for stepping up this winter when it was cold and helping us pay for 2 weeks of hotel stays. Commissioner Cooney came down and visited. Commissioner Wilson came down in January, and Vice Mayor Hess came down in February. I really appreciate that you sat and talked to the unhoused. I want to lift up the fact that it's not been stated enough. My security team were all unhoused, every single one of them. They had keys to my room so that they could assist me. I'd like to point out the fact that at our last one we had 67% of the individuals that stayed in those hotels during that cold snap were all individuals that are black and brown skinned. The hotel, I was there in the lobby all the time. It was a 20-hour day for me. Was all white, and they had guests leave because they were uncomfortable. Approximately 22% of the individuals that stayed in the hotel identify as LGBTQ+. I see you're doing an emergency shelter that you're working towards. I want to know what cold means. I'm staying in the van right now because I'm raising awareness. I slept in it last night. I'll be in it tonight. It's cold. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm in a van with all the comforts that I need, including electricity. So I came here to say that. Can we please bring back the call-in? I'd really appreciate it. I'm sure other people would. And I really like that there's some steps moving forward, but I want you to think about what cold means. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Irving, and I am here as a community member. And while I've spoken to many of you individually, it feels weird coming up here to speak to all of you. And I give props to the rest of the community to come and speak on their issues. And I want to thank all of you because I've gotten the chance to meet some of you individually at different points in my life here in Kalamazoo. And as a community member, I've decided to stay here in Kalamazoo and to make a living here. And really, it's out of love. I moved here in 2005 and with my mom, and now starting my own family, have made the decision to stay in Kalamazoo because I genuinely love the city and I love the community that is here, and I know a lot of people care. I know that speaking with individually with a lot of you, that you guys care, that y'all care about this city. And through my work, and I specifically coming to speak on behalf of my work, I'm trying to do the best that I can for my community, and I know that I cannot tackle every issues, and I know that empowering others is a great benefit, about Kalamazoo. And I am so happy that this city is taking steps to move in the right direction. But I think what I'm here to ask of y'all today is to let the Civil Rights Board, pass along the things that they need to do. I trust that all of you here are going to take the right decisions, that all of you are, Kalamazoo is in your heart. I have two little boys that right now I'm pretty sure are driving my wife crazy, but I want to be here. I want to be in this room specifically because I know that it is important to care for the city, and it is important to hopefully leave a city that they are going to want to be part of, like I want to be part of. So thank you very much for being here, and I really hope that y'all can consider, fulfilling those spaces that are empty in the Civil Rights Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please. Is there anyone else who'd like to take the opportunity to make a public comment? All right, seeing no one, public comment period is closed. I want to thank everyone that took the time, made the effort to come and speak at the meeting this evening. Next, public hearing, F.
We have a public hearing to receive comments on the 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan, including the 2025 Action Plan as required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Manager Ritzman. I presume there is a presentation?
Yes, we have Julie Johnston, our compliance specialist, will be giving a brief presentation.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So we are now officially opening the public hearing to receive comments on the 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan, including the 2025 Action Plan as required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Thank you.
Tonight is the final step in our year-long process to develop the next 5-year consolidated plan for the city. This plan is a requirement of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for us to receive grant funding as an entitlement community. I'm going to spend a few minutes going over the plan and providing some information on the 2025 Action Plan. So what is a consolidated plan? The intent of the plan is to assess the city's affordable housing and community development needs so that we can make data-driven decisions about how to utilize our grant funding. It's the framework for making the decisions related to CDBG and home funds for the next 5 years. It's important to note that the consolidated plan is developed in a manner specifically specified by HUD, and that each section of the plan is presented in the way required by HUD. So the process begins with us determining our needs. That's looking at the data, setting priorities for the next 5 years, and then once that is done, setting our goals and determining our activities that we're going to fund on an annual basis. Finally, at the end of this circular process, we report out our performance to HUD also on an annual basis. At the center of this process is the outreach that we do with the community and the consultation that we have with our service providers. In creating the priorities for the plan, we must adhere to the requirements of each of the grant awards that we receive. So for CDBG, that means the activities must align with one of the 3 national objectives identified for the CDBG program. And our dollars go to benefit low-income persons and prevent or eliminate blight. Currently, we receive about $1.5 million in CDBG funds on an annual basis. The Home Investment Partnership Program is intended for us to strengthen our ability to provide housing. And we receive about $450,000 in home funds annually. In the creation of the plan, staff spent the summer of 2024 conducting outreach in the community. We began with an online survey that was available from July through September, and we did some pretty significant outreach in our core neighborhoods for this survey, sending a postcard to every residential address in the core neighborhoods. We also provided flyers on the survey to the neighborhood association centers, downtown businesses, the library. We posted it on our social media accounts and sent it to 162 community partners and service provider organizations. We also conducted 6 open houses in the core neighborhoods, attended a number of neighborhood events like National Night Out, back-to-school events, annual meetings, and other social events in the neighborhoods. We also did some additional outreach. 4 service provider meetings were held. We received input at Housing Matters and the Continuum of Care meetings. We attended some larger festival events like Latinx and KidNet. And at the end of the summer, community development staff attended or hosted 24 different events for the consolidated plan. Then we moved on to the plan adoption phase, which is requirement of HUD, but we began that with 2 committee of the whole meetings before the City Commission. We opened the public comment period in March, which was held for 30 days. And we had our first public hearing on the plan on March 27th. The final step for this whole process is to submit the plan to HUD by May 15th. That is our deadline. The culmination of the plan is to create priority goals and outcomes for the next 5 years. And I'm going to be outlining what these are and show how they work together within the plan. So to create this recommended direction and the focus of the plan, we based it on determining those priorities by reviewing the data that we've collected, looking at the results of the community outreach that we did, understanding outside funding sources and programs that are already being supported by those sources, and as well as understanding the amount of HUD funding that the city receives on an annual basis. We know these dollars have decreased over the years, and so we need to be as strategic as possible in applying the limited amount of funds that we have. HUD requires us to indicate levels of importance for our priorities in the plan, and so we have indicated critical, important, and desirable priorities. Critical priorities are intended to meet an urgent need. They are ranked the highest during our community outreach and require immediate and continued funding. Important priorities are those that are significant to the community. We heard it in the community outreach. And funding should be considered for these priorities, but they didn't rise up to the level of critical. And then finally, desirable priorities need our attention, have value to the community, and should be included in the plan, but they are often sustained and funded by other agencies. We have 2 critical priorities that were consistently lifted up during our community outreach. Both relate to housing: preserve existing single-family housing and provide stable and affordable rental housing for our low-income households. We have 4 important priorities: ensuring safe rental housing, providing services for underserved groups, supporting property improvement efforts in our neighborhoods, including solutions related to public improvements. And then we have 4 desirable priorities: including diversity of housing options, supporting economic development, advocating for programs that assist the homeless, and promoting violence prevention activities. All of these priorities then have to sit inside a goal. So we have 3 main goals for the consolidated plan, which are attainable and affordable housing, expanding access to public service grants, and neighborhood solutions, beautification, and improvement. The next 3 slides are going to show how the priorities work within the goals and then the proposed outcomes that we have for the 5-year period. It's important to note that these outcomes are forecasted based on the funding that we receive today. So if our funding allowance is reduced by the federal government, we'll have to reevaluate and make some decisions on those outcomes, and they will likely have to be reduced. So the first is our housing goal. That has 2 critical priorities as well as 1 important and 1 desirable priority. The anticipated outcomes are based on the type of activities we hope to fund over the next 5 years, and due to the significance of this goal and the priorities included, it is recommended to receive the highest amount of funding during the 5-year period. The next is our public service goal, and that's expanding access to public services. It includes 1 important priority and 3 desirable priorities. And this goal is really about providing resources and services to the most vulnerable in the city. We expect to assist at least 1,250 individuals through grant agreements with our service providers utilizing these funds. And then the final goal on our neighborhood solutions has 2 important priorities, one of which is funding for each of the 5 core neighborhoods to complete a project that resolves some type of concern in the neighborhood or creates a public improvement for the neighborhood. So once we've finished with the draft of the consolidated plan, then we had to dig into the annual action plan. That is a requirement of HUD and has to be submitted with the consolidated plan. The action plan has to align with the set of priorities and goals and outcomes that we establish in the consolidated plan. This is the proposed budget and activities for 2025. So what HUD asks us to do is to move from the macro level of priorities and goals down to a micro perspective of projects and activities. The HUD reporting system requires that each project or activity that we support is tied directly to a priority and a goal within the consolidated plan. So then I'm going to go through a few slides that are going to talk about these projects. So the first is single-family home repair. This is supported by both the data that we collected for the plan and the outreach that we conducted within the city. Managing home repairs often places a cost burden on our low-income homeowners that could result in the loss of their home. Providing assistance will help to protect and stabilize that household's largest asset, as well as preserving affordable housing in the city. This is a critical priority in the draft plan. With the significant increases that we've seen in rents over the last 4 years, and with 56% of our households in the city being renter households, providing assistance became a critical priority. In addition, the closure of the state's Housing Choice Voucher waitlist contributed to this desire to rise this priority up as critical. We want to help address the growing gap for rental assistance between need and available resources. In our neighborhood enhancement project, this includes both housing and code administration, as well as public improvement projects for the core neighborhoods. The intent is to help stabilize property values through code administration, but also to allow the neighborhoods of Eastside, Edison, Northside, Stewart, and Vine an opportunity to invest in a project that solves a concern or supports a public improvement within their neighborhood. When we were doing our community outreach in the core neighborhoods, we heard from many residents that there was a specific concern that they wanted addressed. And we thought this was an opportunity for the neighborhood associations to work with their residents and determine how to use that funding. And then finally, our public services. We have consistently heard from our Community Development Act Advisory Committee that they would like to support a wider array of service providers. Over the last 5 years, the consolidated plan that we've been working under had limited public service dollars to youth development. and they wanted to be able to address other public service needs. We also heard this during our community outreach, that there was support in supporting vulnerable and special needs populations at these events. So over the next 5 years, we'd like to open up the public service dollars, allow CDAC an opportunity, the Community Development Act Advisory Committee, an opportunity to recommend funding for programs that meet a vital or emergent need in the city. So tonight, staff is requesting the City Commission approve the draft 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan, which includes the 2025 Action Plan, to be submitted to HUD. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your detailed and well-illustrated presentation. I appreciate that. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Pradle.
Julie, thanks for being here tonight. I was wondering if you could talk about the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund that's proposed in this. You mentioned it's for the 5 core neighborhoods. Can you share a little bit about how you envision that process going and selecting a final idea for each neighborhood?
So we are going to run essentially a request for proposals process where the neighborhoods can submit a project. The consolidated plan is 5 years long, so each year, $200,000, if funding levels stay as they are expected, will be assigned to a core neighborhood. So when we evaluate the projects, we'll talk with the neighborhood associations to make some decisions on who will get funding in 2025 and who would get funding in 2029. And it'll be based on where they are in getting their project ready to move. So we can only address one a year to give a substantial enough amount of money that it actually can solve the issue that they might be trying to resolve, or would allow them to go out and do some, looking for funding elsewhere, knowing that they have secured some funding from the city to work on this, whatever project that they want to work on.
And would each one need to be done through their specific neighborhood association, or could
Correct.
like an independent group of a neighborhood?
No, it needs to come through the neighborhood association. CDBG funds have to be managed with a 501c3 nonprofit. And because this is supposed to be a focused neighborhood project, we want to ensure that the neighborhood association has had an opportunity to vet the project and make decisions on what should move forward.
And it should be safe to say, but just to say for the public as well, this is not an exclusive list of like housing initiatives and things that we're working on as a city. A lot of these initiatives in here just represent a small portion of the overall work that we're doing as well, correct?
That's very true. The consolidated plan is just about the HUD funding that we receive on an annual basis. We may touch base in the plan on other funding sources that we have. For example, the lead-based paint funding source is talked about in the consolidated plan, but it is not directly managed through the consolidated plan and annual action plan.
So a good example of that would be like the home share program we heard a little bit about during our committee of the whole meeting
Correct.
tonight. So,
Correct.
great. Thank you. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Pradle. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Good information that we are reviewing, and hopefully we would be approving this evening. I just wanted to talk about a couple things. So we have the expanding the access to public service grants. And I just want to make a recommendation that as we're looking for some of these grants, we had a young lady today speak about something that could help our houseless, and that would be a self-defense classes. So maybe looking into something like that and see how you could use some of those funds, or how we can use some of those funds to help our most vulnerable, protect themselves if they don't have housing. And then I wanted to talk about the, tell me some more about the Home CHDO project.
So the Community Housing Development Organization is something that was established by HUD through the Home Investment Partnership Program. 15% of our home dollars has to be set aside annually for a community housing development organization. And we anticipated, and again, this is just our forward thinking through this 5-year period, that those organizations would be the one that would develop new housing under the consolidated plan. So either new rental or new single-family owner-occupied housing. So $450,000 is what we get annually right now under home. 15% of that must go to a community housing development organization.
And you say that talks about for building new housing units, so single and rentals?
That was our anticipation, that those organizations would be and would utilize that funding to create units, affordable units.
Okay. Is there any way to stipulate that they build more than just one house? So it would be like a duplex or a triplex or something like that? Or, I mean, building, yes, we all want different types of housing. But if we were able to use funds to build more than just one, we could house more than just one family within a unit. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so the housing, the available funding that we have for this is about $65,000 a year. So whoever came forward with, so we have 3 community housing development organizations that are certified with the city right now. And what proposal they brought forward, they would definitely have to have outside funding sources to be able to even build one unit. But that would not stop someone from making a proposal to do multiple units with the funding.
Okay, and so the funding that we have that is within our 2025 budget is $102,000. That's 15%?
So
math's not mathin'.
Yes, you're correct. That includes 2024 funding. We did not assign 2024, which was about $67,000. We did not assign that to a CHODO during the Community Housing Development Organization during the 2024 action plan. So it was included in the 2025 to be allocated as part of this request for proposals process.
Is there a reason why it wasn't allocated? Were the organizations just over capacity, didn't have?
Yes.
Why weren't those funds expended?
We had some other organizations that were interested in becoming certified with the city, so we wanted to have an opportunity to have more than one community housing development organization.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Decker. Other questions? All right, seeing none, hey, just a couple here. So I know one thing that we've been very proud about and we've done a good job of is new builds. And that whole program we've had going here in the city for a while. And I see, this plan does not include that approach. You want to talk about that a little bit? How you ended up getting there as far as that decision?
Sure. We looked at outside funding sources and reviewing the consolidated plan and determining priorities, and we do have other funding sources for new construction. So that's why we focused predominantly our home funding on tenant-based rental assistance.
Okay, appreciate that. And then as far as the TBRA, it looks like you've got CDBG and home dollars set aside for TBRA. Aren't there 2 different sets of rules for those different funding streams related to TBRA?
That's correct. So we envisioned community development block grant funding the security deposit assistance and home investment partnership funding the rental assistance. So it would be a shared ability with those 2 funding sources to help a renter in need.
It's obviously very concerning that we have not had any access to additional housing choice vouchers that are provided through MSHDA here in Kalamazoo County, and the fact that we do not know when or if that list will ever open again. And so I get the idea, and we've talked about this in the past some, but the idea of trying to open up that space, fill that space, replace it, I guess, with some TBRA funding. The shortcoming there is that is very short-term assistance as compared to a housing choice voucher, and there's a cap on that assistance that does not even take you through the full term of a one-year lease, right?
Actually, we were expecting a 12-month program.
Are you thinking you can do that?
Yep. HUD allows 24.
Okay.
We were considering, because of the limited amount of funding, to do a 12-month program and to include with that, and we will be doing a request for proposals process on this. Obviously, the city does not run programs, so we'll be looking for service providers to do that for us. But we were expecting that, and also a financial self-sufficiency program would be included with that 12-month. We wanted to make sure that a renter, HUD requires that the lease be at least 12 months, so we wanted them to have support during that same 12-month time period.
Yeah, I think that's excellent thinking. It is definitely extremely challenging for a renter to make a lease relationship, when they know they only might have 6 months of assistance when they'll be expected to sign a one-year lease. So
correct.
I'm glad you're going to be able to work that out. I think that's smart thinking. Vice Mayor Hess.
Sure. Julie, so what agencies would you be working with for this rental assistance? I know that the city doesn't do that.
Right.
And so where would people reach out?
Well, so we're going to do a request for proposals process and ask service providers to submit a proposal to the city that will be vetted to determine who will receive the funding. And then ultimately, we will be coming back to the City Commission for approval of that service provider as part of
There will only be
substantial
one
amount.
provider, right?
That's what we're expecting, but it's not set in stone that it just be one. But it is a limited amount of funding. So, I mean, it's like $330,000, so it's not a significant amount of money.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions, commissioners? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Since there's no questions from commission, now is the opportunity for public comments on this item. Speakers will each have 3 minutes. Keep that in mind, a little different, 1 minute less for their comments. And please come forward and let us know whether you live in the city. And state your name. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Beth McCann. I live in Ashmo Township. I am the Executive Director of Kalamazoo Neighborhood Housing. We are here tonight to say that we would like to thank the city for the opportunity to participate in the development of the HUD Master Plan. This was a huge undertaking, and we appreciate the work that the city and CPED has put into that, and we'll fully support the plan that has been developed. We acknowledge that every need cannot be addressed through the HUD Master Plan, and we think that there has been good choices made this year for developing that. But we do ask that some consideration be made in other funding sources for a very important program that was funded in the past by CDBG funds, and that is down payment assistance for potential home buyers. 2025 is the first year in close to 20 that KNHS does not have DPA from the city to help clients with closing costs. September 24 was the last time we used city DPA to help a potential home buyer get into their home. In 24, 68% of KNHS's new home buyers required DPA to be able to close and purchase their home. The average amount was $10,750. It's critical for anyone under 80% AMI to have access to funds to be able to do that. Right now, KNHS has 230 individuals in our home buyer education and coaching program, all of those hoping to be homeowners at some point in time. We know that renting is not the American dream. Homeownership is the American dream. And for that single mom with 2 kids who doesn't want to live in a rental for the rest of her life, she wants the security and stability of homeownership. So we hope that in other funding that the city has, DPA will become a priority. We also are very happy to hear that new infill housing is still a priority for the city. In 2019, KNHS, in partnership with the city, developed the Kalamazoo Attainable Homes Partnership. And to date, we've developed 32 homes, 29 in the city of Kalamazoo. And we're looking to break ground on 5 on the north side this spring and hope to develop another 10 in the next end of 25, beginning of 26. And we can't do that without the support and partnership of the city. So we're pleased to hear that that is hopefully part of other funding sources from the city of Kalamazoo. So I just want to say thank you again for being able to be a part of this and to express our support for the master plan.
Thank you. Next, please.
Commissioners, Matt Bolzarek, city resident. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all the city staff and CDAC members, community members who developed this plan and gave input and participated. Shocking, I guess this would be the 4th consolidated plan I've gone through in Kalamazoo, so go team. Well, yeah, you know, every 5 years we make this plan, hard decisions, there's no perfect answer, but I do want to really sort of double down on some points about new construction and the city's commitment to that programming. You know, I've had the good fortune of working with many great builders and community partners and city staff on building dozens of new construction homes in the last few years, and not one of those homes would be built without the city's funding and commitment and partnership. So it is vital that the city continues to support that. We aren't just making homes possible, the construction of homes. These are homes for people. These are job opportunities. These are really building the infrastructure of our community development community here. And we've had many builders with these new construction homes who they built their first home ever through these programs with the city. Minority contractors getting their first break with these programs with the city. And that work would not happen without the city's commitment, and it won't be able to continue without the city's commitment. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, and leverage funding is vital. It is true there are other resources. Those other resources are often last in, and they often do rely on the city funding being there. I know we were able to secure $500,000 from MSHDA this year. Thank you, MSHDA. Thank you, city, for all your support and leverage on that, because without that city funding first, that MSHDA funding guaranteed would not have happened, and these 5 homes being built, rebuilt in the north side, would not be happening this year. So just wanted to thank you all for all the work you've supported over the years and will continue to, and look forward to all the work ahead. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to comment on this item?
Oh, there we go. Hi. From the presentation, one thing that I found confusing was that throughout the part where you showed what would actually be funded, you didn't have noted whether they were critical or middle or whatever the other category was. And so it was very hard to tell which of those things were important for real. And I have not read the whole report, but one of the things that I thought was strange is that there's a whole section on homelessness, and it says that y'all couldn't find any homeless people to talk to ask them what their needs are. And I feel like a whole bunch of them come here to yell at you every month, so like that shouldn't be that hard to do. I can find homeless people. It's really easy. They're just everywhere. So I'm not convinced that anyone looked. Did anyone look? Because, like, I'm sure that there are parts of this that are good and make sense, but the whole homeless section suggests that, like, y'all didn't try. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, please.
A lot of practice. Oh, here we go. Oh, good. It's automatic. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Zach Bauer. I'm the executive director of the Land Bank. We partner very closely with the CDAC team, and I just want to express my sincere gratitude to that team for the work on this. We were in transition as an organization, so we weren't as active a participant as we wanted to be in this, but working with the CDAC staff is really a delight, and they take a lot of time to work closely with us and my staff in the community. And I just, it's been kind of a rough night. And so I just want to take a moment and voice that opinion to you all and to congratulate them on the overall plan. So have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on this particular item? All right, seeing no one, I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve the consolidated plan and 2025 action plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Decker. Support. Supported by Commissioner Cooney. Discussion, commissioners. Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like I need an answer to the young lady's comment regarding within the report, the information regarding reaching out to the houseless. I feel I need an answer on that, please.
Is being referenced as seen, that is not factual. So there was reach out, there was connections made.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Other discussion, questions? Commissioner Pradel.
I was just going to applaud you, especially Sherilyn and Julie. It does not pull it into full context. I mean, the amount of outreach that was done in this process, and I know I had a chance to attend a couple of the sessions where it was like listening sessions and trying to develop input and work with community to try to prioritize what gets moved forward. And it just really a lot of intentional thought into that. I mean, the numbers are on here about the number of partners that you reached out to people from community. And so I just want to thank you for all those efforts because, and here it just looks like a piece of paper, but there was a lot of action to move forward to make that all possible. So thank you both for all your hard work on that.
Other discussion? Questions? Commissioner Decker? No? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Sherilyn. We've been through this several times, and it is always, it's a mixed kind of a feeling when you put this plan together. It takes an awful lot of work, and I really, really appreciate that effort and all the engagement, everyone that participated and contributed to it. I really appreciate the nonprofits that are the ones that actually do the work of this plan in most cases, and have to piece together just a boatload of other funding sources to make projects happen. This is certainly an amount that has not increased over the years. As a matter of fact, decreased. It's, I don't even know what to say about that. I guess that says it all. And now we're in a situation where I would say there is some uncertainty about even these numbers that we are proposing, which we do not have any certainty about what they will be. So that said, I appreciate the effort, the intent, and we're now at the point of roll call. Deputy Clerk Moss.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
I'm abstaining from this because of my employer.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. And now we are on to the consent agenda. Manager Ritzma.
The following items are being presented for approval this evening. First is the approval of a one-year source contract renewal with OpenGov Incorporated for the OpenGov suite of software in the amount of $117,905.70. Next is the approval of the purchase of seasonal road salt from Detroit Salt Company, LC, through the My Deal Cooperative Purchasing Program in the amount of $181,450. Next is the approval of a contract extension with Santiago Services for nuisance trash and debris handling in the amount of $453,000. Next is the approval of a contract with Michigan Paving and Materials for the Westnedge Avenue paving project from Vine to Michigan in the amount of $860,623.60. Next is the adoption of a resolution to designate Kalamazoo as a bee city as defined by the Xerxes Society. Next is the adoption of a resolution delegating authority to the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development Department as the official representative and certifying officer for U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development grant documentation. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving contract number 25-5154 with the Michigan Department of Transportation for early preliminary engineering activities for signal optimization along various routes at 41 intersections throughout the city in the amount of $205,000. Next is the adoption of resolutions approving amendments to the budgets for fiscal years 2024 and 2025, and acceptance of informational reporting on the capital project carryforwards and grant acceptances. Next is the approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Kalamazoo Regional Education Service Agency / Career Connect for the Summer Youth Employment and Training Program in the amount of $619,000. Next is the approval of the mayor's appointments to the Natural Features Protection Review Board, the appointment of Logan Rowe for a term expiring on March 31, 2028, and the appointment of Matt Stemple for a term expiring on March 31, 2028. Next is the approval of a public utility easement with Continental 671 Fund, LLC, for water main installed as part of the Authentics development and in Texas Township. Next is the approval of a request from the Kalamazoo Country Club for a permit to publicly display fireworks at 1609 Whites Road on Thursday, July 3, 2025. Next is the approval of a request from the Kalamazoo Growlers to publicly display fireworks at Homer Stryker Field on June 27, July 3, July 4, July 18, July 25, August 8, and August 22, 2025. And finally, approval of a purchase agreement with Burdick Crosstown LLC for the purchase of 1156 South Burdick Street and 1204 South Burdick Street in the amount of $335,000.
Thank you very much, Manager Ritzma. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 11, items 15 and 16, and postpone item 17 until May 12th, 2025, and authorize the city manager to sign all documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Pradel. Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The items on the consent agenda are approved. We are now down to our regular agenda. City Manager Ritzman.
Item H1 is first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 21, Article 3 of the Kalamazoo Code of Ordinances to add Section 21-28, impoundment of vehicles.
Thank you very much. Is there a staff report on this item?
Yes, our Chief David Boyson and Deputy City Attorney Sarah Van Hyft is coming forward for a brief presentation.
Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and leadership. We're here to talk about mobile nuisance party, something that's been a long time problem in Kalamazoo. It I think we've got some good news that we have a solution that's shown some very positive results here in the last couple of years, and we'd like to expand on that. So just want to briefly go over a couple things with you. Just for the purpose of this, define quickly what a mobile nuisance party is. It's a social gathering or party where, whether static or mobile, conducted on any public or private property within the city, and which by reason of the conduct of those persons in attendance results in any one or more of the following conditions or events occurring on public or private property. And here's a list of the events. I'm not going to read all those to you, but really the big ones are 5, 6, and 7 that we see, which is unlawful vehicle traffic, stopping, standing, parking, obstruction and free flow of traffic, which really interrupts the providing of emergency services, unlawful parking of vehicles within public streets, alleys, sidewalks, or private property, and unreasonably loud noise under the circumstances which disturbs the comfort, quiet, or repose of one or more members of the neighborhood. And there's some other things in there, but any one or more of those following would be in violation of the ordinance. This is a 90-day misdemeanor. That's going to be the same. And one of the things I want to show you is a video, and this video is a brief video, but this is from 2022. This was taken before we started putting some of these strategies in place, and I want to just kind of remind how bad it was. And this video was taken from our drone, and this is in the North Side neighborhood, which unfortunately has been overly impacted by this type of activity, usually on a Saturday night, and it starts usually around midnight and goes to 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning when people are trying to sleep. So you can see here, we're looking at Ada, Woodbury, Florence area, and you see the gridlock of traffic. Again, this is in the middle of the night. We'll have 3, 4 cars deep in the lanes. And not only is it loud and people can't sleep, but it's also a big safety concern, because if we have someone that has a medical emergency in any of those houses, there's no way we could get rescue personnel or ambulances to those locations. Or if we have a fire or another emergency, it's just impossible to respond to. The big thing is, too, it takes a lot of staff to deal with this. So we used to try to address this by focusing on individual involved, writing tickets, doing enforcement. And so in order for us to do that, it was very labor intensive. So we would have to pull in a lot of people for overtime operations. We'd use our regional partners from other agencies to help us. Those were effective the nights we did them, but that's not sustainable, because number one, is a huge cost and overtime expense. But more importantly, it also is hard on our staff, because they would have to come in on their days off, and they get 2 weekends off a month in the summer, and we would pull them for at least 1 weekend to do this. So it was burning out the staff, and it really was not sustainable, and it didn't work, and we tried that for years. So one of the things that we put in place last year to keep this from happening, and again, this was from 2022, is we started to approach it much differently. We started using data to look at who was actually involved, which vehicles were involved in this type of behavior, and we came up with our mobile nuisance party dashboard so we could track where these vehicles were coming from. And you can see from that stat here that a lot of them were from Kalamazoo, but there were many from all over Michigan, the east side of the state, as far north as Traverse City, and all over southwest Michigan. So we really started putting that together, and as what we did based on that data is we would send them a warning letter. Either send them if they're out of the area, we'd send that by mail, but if they're in the Kalamazoo metro region, we would deliver that in person. And we'd explain to them the ordinance and put them on notice that their vehicle was in violation of the ordinance and would be subject to impound. That was very effective. Again, we started that in 2023. And so what we would do is we track that. And if a vehicle was involved the next weekend or the subsequent weekends after receiving that warning letter, officers would stop that car, take enforcement action, and impound the vehicle. And that was effective to a point, but I think people realize that there's safety in numbers, and there's so few of us, and we can only tow so many cars a night. And again, it's manpower intensive to tow a car, because we have to have at least 1 or 2 officers there to keep the crowd back. We have to wait for a wrecker. It takes quite a while. So it helped somewhat, but the answer really became clear in 2024 when you tried a new approach. With that one, we met with the courts, and the courts allowed us to get seizure orders for vehicles that had received a letter, ignored it, and it would allow us to impound those at our convenience. So we didn't have to impound it the night of the nuisance party. We could do it on a Monday, Tuesday afternoon during the daytime, much more safer for the officers, and also would really send that message that we're taking this serious, and if you choose to ignore the letter, there are consequences. So to that, in 2024, we identified 914 vehicles that were participating in these events. 124 of those were rentals, so a significant amount were rental cars, which is, again, when we used to focus on the individual, it was not as effective. Now we're focused on the car, so we don't care if it's a rental car. The warning letters go to the rental car agencies too, and we put them on notice that if you run into that person, you might want to put them on a do not rent to list, because we don't care if it's a rental car, we will impound it. And they're in business to make money, and they would lose money on that, so that really helped curb the rental car problem. And so we obtained 15 seizure orders from the courts. Again, we're not talking that I think there's a misconception that we need to tow hundreds of cars to make this effective. We don't. We just need to tow a few of the repeat offenders, and the word gets out. So last year we had 15 seizure orders that we obtained from the courts, and we towed 14 of those after the fact. One disappeared. We never found that car. But of the 14 that we were served, there were, again, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday during the week. And then we impounded 23 on the nights of the events. And that was extremely effective. That video I showed you from 2022, we did not see any activity like that in 2024, thankfully. And I had a lot of residents that live in those impacted neighborhoods, and they told me that last summer was the quietest summer that they can remember. And so they really appreciated those efforts, and it's effective and much safer for officers and efficient than putting giant manpower operations together and doing giant enforcement operations. So focusing on the vehicles is the answer. This ordinance, and I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy City Attorney to talk about Assistant City Attorney. The mayor said deputy, so I thought you got promoted and I didn't know about it. So, to talk about why we wanted to amend the ordinance to assist with this. So.
Good evening. So as the chief outlined, we were going through the process of obtaining the seizure orders from the court, and those were in the situations when we were trying to tow after the fact. And the reason we were going this route was because the statute that we're relying on, it doesn't directly address situations when you're impounding a vehicle after the fact. There is some room for interpretation, but there isn't really any established time frame. And so what we wanted to do was get the authorization from the court before towing these vehicles after the fact. Initially, the court was signing the orders, they were being processed, and it was proving to be effective. But after some time and some additional consideration by the court, we were informed that some of the judges had reservations on signing the orders. And the reason for this really seemed to be based on the fact that the statute we are relying on doesn't anticipate a need or even mention any sort of judicial determination being necessary in this process. So really the courts wanted us to be able to, or KDPS to be able to impound the vehicles without having the courts involved based on the wording of the statute. And since there's still that gray area, there isn't really an established time frame, what we've done is drafted the proposed ordinance as a way to establish a procedure for officers to be able to follow and to give them authorization to tow the vehicles. And so the proposed ordinance here, as you can see, there's 3 subsections. In subsection A, that would be applying when a vehicle is being towed on scene at the scene of a nuisance party when there's reasonable cause to believe that it's in participation of the party. Subsection B is what the process we would be following with the seizure orders. So there would be a warning letter. It would have to be sent to the registered owner either by certified mail or personal service. After future violations of that, that's when KDPS would be looking to tow the vehicles after the fact. And then subsection C would apply in limited circumstances when officers would need to enter private property. And this would be when they're entering the private property to search for a vehicle that they're looking to impound pursuant to this ordinance. And at that point, that's when we would request court authorization through a search warrant to be able to enter the property.
All set? Okay, thank you so much. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Prado.
Thank you both for being here and presenting this tonight. Question for you. So just for clarification purposes, this would authorize this to happen within 6 months of when they're identified at a mobile nuisance incident. So the clock would run 6 months from whenever they were last identified at one. So let's say they were identified at one, then it happened again, it would be 6 months from that last time.
It would be 6 months from when the warning letter's been served. And the reason for that is really just to put a time limit on, so we're not going back years. We're doing it, trying to focus on the most relevant offenders and really focusing on that 6 month time frame.
Sure. What would be circumstances when it would just be like fair game to have the vehicle impounded without necessarily having to go to a district court? Where would be locations where it would be fine to do that currently, or with this proposed change as well?
So with the proposed changes, it would be on scene of a nuisance party. So if they're directly on scene and there's the capability to tow on scene, that would apply. Otherwise, after the fact, it would essentially be in any public place where this would apply after a warning letter has been provided and after it's been established that they're continuing to offend.
Yeah, for sure.
And then any private property, we would be seeking authorization from the court.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions? Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you guys for being here. I just had a couple quick questions. I'm looking at our, the dashboard that we have. 16% are rentals, 38% are happening within the residents within the city of Kalamazoo, and then 46% of outside Kalamazoo. So my question is, how does this work with other jurisdictions if they don't live? I know it's just for our individuals here, but I mean, we have a higher number of individuals coming from outside of Kalamazoo to do this. So how would we handle that?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. So again, they still get a letter. So if they're like in the Kalamazoo metro area, we'll send an officer there to deliver that in person. But if they're over, like I said, the one in Traverse City I mentioned, we're probably going to send that certified mail. And again, we're not going to take any enforcement action on that unless they come back to Kalamazoo, participate in a party, and then we could tow that on the spot. So that's typically how that would go. Again, I think we want to focus on really how effective those warning letters are, especially when they know that there's teeth behind it. And many times, for the most part, again, you saw on that one slide, we had a lot of warning letters set, but very few cars towed. So I think most people take that serious and don't violate that order, or that warning letter, I should say.
And if I saw that video, that was a whole block, or was that one? That was a whole block blocked off by cars that was impeding our emergency personnel if they needed to get there. Or someone that's trying to go to work, or someone whose kid's having an asthma attack, or just anything. So just for, so the public, so they also know, and we kind of spoke about this before the meeting. And again, this talks about, it's part C. I just want you to kind of explain that just a little bit more when we talk about required to enter private property and to search, just so the public's aware, really what that means.
Yeah, so again, I'll let Sarah talk about that too if I miss something. But so if the fact that we can tow a car under the ordinance does not allow us to enter on someone's private property where they have expectation of privacy to tow that car. If the car is on private property, like next to a garage, or parked in the backyard behind a house, we would have to get a court order to enter the property to impound the car. So no different than our current junk auto ordinance. So if we take a car that's on a private property for junk auto and they don't take that car away in the required amount of time, we can't just go on the property and impound it. We'd have to get a court order to go on the property, and then we would impound it under the junk auto ordinance. So it's very similar to that. So.
Okay, and it's not just, you'll have this, but it's not just you going to the property and saying, here's the car, we're going to get it. You would, again, of course, try to make contact with the individual, with someone within the house, so they would know why you're there, correct?
Yes, we would serve them a copy of the search warrant and let them know why we're there, and then take the car. And again, but if it's parked on a public street or along a curb or in a parking lot open to the public, then we would not necessarily need to get a court order for that.
Okay, so then let me ask this then. So, and again, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. So, you have an individual, someone that has received the letter, has violated the ordinance, and say there are cars on the side of the street. You guys are not personally looking for those cars because you're planning on going to the house. So, I guess my question is, you're not going to be out there actively looking for cars on the sidewalk if they on the side of the street, if they're at work, if they violate it, you're mainly going to be going to the home to trying to locate the car? Or would the officers then be like, hey, we're looking for this car also, it's been a violation, how does that work?
Yes, typically we would go to the registered owners, but again, using technology, our license plate readers are very effective. So once we give them the letter, that car is flagged in the system, so it would trigger an alert. So if it's flagged in the system, we have an impound order on it that would be entered in the system. So if it drove by one of our license plate readers, that would trigger the alert that would allow an officer to go stop that car and impound it on the street. So again, we're not going to be necessarily going, all over hunting for those cars, but if they continue to violate that, or if they ignore that letter, then they would be put in the system, and an officer comes across that car, it would be impounded.
Thank you.
Yep.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Sure. Excuse me. One of my first ride-alongs was in July of 2020, and I spent my entire Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Ada and Florence and Woodbury with the other 17 officers who were on duty that night. Commissioner Decker, it was scary. The officers were totally outnumbered, and they were more there watching this party develop and evolve. And to be there was an eye-opening for me. I had heard about it. I'd heard about the mobile nuisance party, and to actually experience it. One of the officers who had heard that I was a new commissioner came up to me and said, "What are you going to do about this?" I frankly had no idea. It was so overwhelming. And it's taken now 4.5 years, but you and your department have continued to evolve in trying to address this issue. You haven't shied away from it. You haven't said, no, we can't do that. And I see people coming from all over. And as we saw this weekend, folks that come to bring harm to our community aren't from Kalamazoo. They came from Battle Creek. And so I support doing this. And if we hold a critical number of people accountable, word will get out. And your department has been nothing but compassionate to folks and caring to folks, creating the community service team and so on, and reaching out. And who you're being compassionate and caring for are the folks on Woodbury and Ada and Florence whose property values decrease with every mobile nuisance party that sits there, who are more unsafe because emergency personnel can't reach them. And then for the rest of the city who won't have KDPS protection available to them in as quickly as they would, because all of the neighborhood policing officers are in our Zone 1. So I appreciate you coming up with this, and I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Any other questions? Thanks again to the two of you for coming and presenting on this. Seeing no other questions, is there anyone in the audience here in the chambers who would like to comment on this item? It's item H1. Please state your name, whether you live in the city, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Amanda Charbonneau, right behind you. Y'all are going to be surprised by this, but I went to school to do community policing. Like, that was my undergrad degree. And the reason that I left is because it's inherently only about protecting things like people's property values. So, like, what is actually happening at these parties? Are people being hurt? Like people at the party are being hurt, or is it money being hurt? Like, the cars are in the way. I get it. You know how you solve cars in the way? A parking lot, like, and a bus system so people can get to the party. Like, why? What is the problem? Is there like actual danger happening, or is it just that some people are mad because their house won't sell for as much? Because I feel like what I am hearing is a lot of these people from the outside are coming to get us, which is not my favorite thing to hear. I'm hearing, oh, we have to protect property values, which is gross. And I'm hearing that there's some people that are trying to socialize, and we've decided that the way we're going to fix it is by taking their cars instead of having public transportation. Like, why? Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one, the item is a first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 21, Article 3 of the Kalamazoo Code of Ordinances and add Section 21-28, impoundment of vehicles. The recommended action is a motion to offer for first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Praedel.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Decker. Further discussion, Commissioners? Commissioner Praedel.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the comments or the curiosities, I guess, about this, but this is an example of a resident pushed concern, people who have come to this commission. Any of us who've lived in Kalamazoo, and certainly all of us, I believe, have talked to residents, many residents, about how much of a quality of life issue this is. This isn't just about property values. This isn't just about people having a good time in the street. If you can envision, for most of us who have rented at some point in our life, the most obnoxious tenant above you that is loud and disrupting your life day after day after day. These are people who have a home and are blocked into their home, and at all hours of the night with sleeping children who have to get up and work the next day, who wonder how the heck they're going to get out of their house if there's an emergency, how the heck they're going to get back home, how the heck they're going to get to work on time to leave in the morning if it keeps persisting past the time they have to go. This is a horrible quality of life issue that's plagued an entire neighborhood pretty much for a very, very long time. And I applaud the city attorney's office for sticking with this, because I think it'd be very easy to say, hey, we tried something, didn't work, or we tried something, it worked a little bit, let's call it a day. But they have kept at it relentlessly, and especially Chief Boysen and their team, to keep at this with residents in mind and with residents' quality of life in mind. I'm so pleased that we're able to do this for the neighborhood, because I've been here long enough that we've seen people stand at that podium and share how much this harm. We had a planning commissioner, a former planning commissioner, who was shot in the back because went up and basically was going out in a golf cart or something and was telling people, hey, can you please stop? Like, my family can't sleep, and was shot. So yes, it is significantly disrupting the people of the neighborhood.
Thank you, Commissioner Praedel. Other discussion, Commissioners?
Yeah.
Yes, Vice Mayor Hess.
Yeah, and Amanda, I really do, it's not just about property values, but as this is known about the neighborhood, property values do decrease. There was significant alcohol and drug use, alcohol and drug sales going on. there was open carry happening and the opportunity for violence to erupt among those who were partying. I don't disagree with you that there should be an opportunity for young people to gather. Once we started using the drones on that area, they moved to another area in Ashtamo, and Ashtamo Township said no, and they blocked that parking lot off because it was a gathering for illegal activity. And so, and it was harmful to families. So we are looking to make sure that our families are protected, that our homeowners and folks have a decent quality of life. Thanks for your concern.
Other discussion, commissioners? See none, Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Praedel.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H2. City Manager respond.
Adoption of a resolution adopting a $196,829,913 of FY 2026 Clean Water State Revolving Fund project plan for the wastewater system improvements and designating James J. Baker, P.E., as the authorized project representative.
Director Baker.
Yes, we have James J. Baker right here, right now.
Good evening, Mayor, Your Honor, City Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to present on this topic. We'll just say real quick, this project plan comprises 3 projects. There's a project on Farmers Alley. There's a project in the Kleinstock Preserve, and there's a rather large biosolids project at the Kalamazoo Water Reclamation plant. We did hold a public hearing for this project plan. That public hearing was held at Mount Zion's Church on Kalamazoo's north side on March 25th. During that public hearing, we did accept public comment. That is part of your packet. There is a narrative of what those public comments were included in your packet. Pages 18 through 39, I believe, are focused on those public comments. Those public comments focused on concerns for stack emissions for the recommended alternative, as well as there was some aesthetic and overall concerns about the project in the Kleinstock Preserve, really focusing on making sure that we provided a complete project. So with that, I want to just spend some time to kind of go through, again, some of the selective criteria or the way that we got to the recommendation that we have in front of you currently. I'm just going to walk through. Biosolids are a part of the process at the Kalamazoo Water Reclamation Plant. We receive about 27 million gallons a day of wastewater into the facility. That wastewater is then processed into clean water that's discharged to the Kalamazoo River by permit. And then we have a residual that is left over. That residual is referred to as biosolids. We have about 200 tons a day of biosolids that are then hauled to municipal landfill. The Kalamazoo Water Reclamation Plant is somewhat unique in its characteristics, loading characteristics. About 60 to 70% of the incoming waste stream is from industrial sources. And due to that nature, there are constraints in how we process and how we dispose of those biosolids. And that is part of our residuals management plan that's on file with Eagle. Currently, we are paying over $13.5 million a year to dispose of these biosolids in a landfill. Those costs have escalated quite dramatically since 2019, when we were paying about $4.5 million a year. So staff really began to focus on creating a more sustainable process in 2023. we put together a team, a good governance team, to look at different project alternatives. We issued an RFI, request for information, from the city. This is something several steps before a bid, so we're not ready to build a project yet, but we want to provide competition and a fair way for vendors to provide information to us in terms of what sort of what kind of solutions they have for biosolids disposal. We received over 31 different technologies during that RFI process. Like I said, we put a good governance team together that went through and evaluated those. During that time period, our evaluation was focused on greenhouse gas emissions, potential for odor generation, and worker safety. And we kind of just worked through project description sheets to really kind of analyze what different technologies were and how they could be utilized here in Kalamazoo. Fast forward a year, now in November of 2024, we convened a second stakeholder conference, and when we took the results from that first group and then narrowed that field even further. So some additional constraints that we are now looking at included cost, greenhouse gas emissions that was previously on there, odor generation, and PFAS destruction. So we'll come back to these, but these are kind of our 4 top criteria as we evaluated that project: cost, greenhouse gas emissions, PFAS, the fate and transport and destruction of PFAS, as well as odor generation. Our project team, our evaluation consisted of many of the communities that we serve around us, many of our industrial partners, and many other folks, including some other engineers, several folks from the city staff, not just public services, but folks with some additional expertise in areas such as Justin Gish with the Community Development and Planning Department in the Sustainability Group helped us with the greenhouse gas emissions and some other evaluations. So we're going to kind of show you a series of slides here. I talked about cost, greenhouse gas emissions, odor generation, and the, let's see here, cost, greenhouse gas emissions, odor generation, and the PFAS destruction. So we've kind of got like 4 criteria that we're looking at. And it's not just one, it's not just cost. It was important for us to look at all of these options. And so when you look at the charts, the blue is our operational cost, the orange would be the capital cost. And you can see the no action is quite a bit higher than what some of these other costs are. We've done the cost calculations a few different ways to just recognize a few different sensitivities in the analysis to see if we get different results. We also have some indicators of, odor potential of the project, and so we're able to compare different project alternatives through this different lens. And so, really our kind of tasked this group to pick the best overall project for the community, not just the cheapest project. So we have to kind of filter all these other aspects through that lens as well. Carbon footprint, you can take a look. This is certainly important for us as carbon footprint aligns with the community sustainability plan that was approved by the City Commission in 2022. So we're kind of, as we go through these, layers of decision making, we're also applying commission goals and priorities in that decision making as we make those recommendations moving forward. Destruction of contaminants. This is relative to the PFAS example I talked about, the ability to destroy PFAS and other emerging contaminants. We'll have more certainly in the future. Again, that selection criteria was cost. A cost over the entire life cycle, not just the upfront cost, but the capital plus the operations and maintenance over that life cycle. Greenhouse gas emissions, which is also referred to as carbon footprint. Odor generation, we want to be good neighbors to the communities and neighborhoods that are adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant. And then PFAS destruction. We don't want to bring in a process that is just going to transport PFAS from the liquid stream to the solid stream and then aerate that into the community. We want to make sure we're mindful of that as well. Again, the consensus really kind of worked on the right solution, not just the cheapest solution. And you can see the group overall kind of aligned on the recommendation that we have in front of you, which is the dryers and the energy recovery system. We do have, there's a link here, a QR code that would take you to about a 20-minute presentation where Mike Smith is taking folks around the wastewater plant, explaining what that process is, and give you kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on in the wastewater treatment plant with respect to biosolids processing. Next steps, we've got the recommendation in front of you tonight, which is a resolution to support the project plan, to name myself as the project manager and to submit that to Eagle. That goes into a submission that is competitive. We're competing against all the other wastewater treatment plants and sewer systems in the state of Michigan to try to get after some limited resources, some dollars that will really help and support the community. We'll find out the results of that in September, and then we kind of go through a funding iteration of, is that funding package going to work for us? So it's not just dollars, and we're looking at grant dollars, certainly yes. We're also looking at ways that we can finance this project over, say, a longer term or at a lower rate than what we could get under our conventional bond market. All of that creates a better overall package for ratepayers who are funding this project. Ultimately, project will be funded by air raters. Future next step, if we're successful, if this does get funded, would be some pretty extensive construction and air permitting. That would include full site plan review, natural features protection, all that kind of stuff that we do at the city, but as well as state air and construction permitting. Construction would then go from 2026 to 2030. It's a little washed out on the screen if you're away from it, but if you've got this in your handheld and you can look at it in front of you, we've got a pretty detailed milestone schedule that kind of just walks us through the project. In the upper left-hand corner, you've got 2019. We're paying $4.5 million a year of sludge, and you just kind of walk through it. You see us paying up over $13 million a year for sludge disposal, and we get to the end, and the goal is that we've got dried oxidized mineral ash, and we're disposing that material at a cost of less than $2 million a year. So it's a long journey. It's a long road to get there, but that road starts here tonight, and we welcome any questions or comments that the commission may have.
Thank you very, very much, Director Baker. I appreciate all your work on this. Questions? Commissioners? Commissioner Pradel.
Thanks, Director Baker. We received, I think most of us received some correspondence from a council person from outside the city of Kalamazoo, but is, somebody who's looking out for the residents who, is paying for water, sewer, and they were saying, hey, go with the dryer versus the, you know where I'm looking at there. Yeah, and was saying basically just go for the dryer versus the dryer ERS version. And I was curious, if you were talking to somebody like that, just in bringing it in the most simple terms possible to try to explain somebody, why would you say that, the dryer ERS is worth a little bit more than the dryer version when you're talking about it from a ratepayer perspective, both in the city and outside?
Certainly, Commissioner Pradel, this is an excellent question, and it's really very complex. I mean, it's not as simple as what you kind of see on the screen here. First, I'd like to recognize, folks that took the time to go into the project plan and look at some of these alternatives where we've priced that out and provided that context. So you'll see from the project plan, the dryer and the ERS, the energy recovery system, kind of put together has a cost of about $194 million. The dryer alone has a cost of about $100 million. That's just construction costs. So when we go into the operational cost of those technologies, you see that the dryer and the ERS are they're kind of really close. There's not $100 million difference between these two. The reason for that is the operational costs for the dryer are so much more expensive than they are for the dryer and the ERS. You also see that in the carbon footprint, in that the dryer has to sustain constant, continuous natural gas feed to keep the burners lit, where the dryer in ERS uses the heat and combustion process from oxidizing that biosolids material to keep it going. So think of it like a gas fireplace and a wood fireplace. The gas fireplace, you're just going to burn natural gas as long as it's on. The wood fireplace, you might use the natural gas in your lighter to light it, but once it's lit, it's using that wood to sustain it. And I'll just replace wood with biosolids, and that's kind of the process that we have here. So although capital cost is the difference between 194 million and 100 million, the actual costs that we pay as ratepayers are not that.
So long-term, long game, the dryer ERS is much better for ratepayers. Not to mention, if we're caring about our sustainability plan and energy consumption, this would be a much more a much better energy consumption option for us as a community.
Correct. Additionally to that point, I would say that the commission has some pretty strong goals in terms of the community sustainability plan. That work was not taken lightly. It's our role as staff to uphold those plans and make sure that we're delivering projects that are consistent with city commission goals and priorities. And so, we've talked about kind of these four tests, or the four criteria that we're analyzing this project and making these recommendations on. Cost is one of those, and we respect that. We understand that there's cost can stretch, but what are the values of some of the other items? And so we just walked through costs, and we saw that cost long term was pretty neck and neck in terms of that lower upfront cost item. When we bring in greenhouse gas emissions, odor generation, PFAS destruction, I can tell you that my office, I have two offices, office at Stockbridge, office at Harrison. I spend most of my time at Harrison. Our water and wastewater technical teams are housed out of Harrison, and that's where I spend most of my time. I have been completely amazed by the work that staff has done since 2019 to really focus on, locate, mitigate, and manage odors that have plagued this community for decades. And to watch the staff meticulously take charge, take ownership, and work to solve problems that benefit the community at large is really amazing. I'm glad to be a part of. Glad that I'm able to be a part of that. I will tell you that no one in that plant is going to allow a process to come in that is going to make odors worse, and we wouldn't be in front of you if we were going to do that. So it's a non-starter for us to have a process that is going to contribute more to odors, not less. And you see that where these needles are. Take a look at dryer, and take a look at dryer and ERS combined. Yeah. The dryer and the ERS combined have an advanced air pollution control system that everything goes through. Not only does everything go through 2200 degrees before it's way out, and that's going to pretty much take care of everything right there, but then it goes through selective catalytic reduction and a whole other bunch of scrubbers and everything else before it can come out.
I'm going to timestamp this presentation portion right here, so as we hear from people, we can send this to people. The other question as well is, people feel squeezed right now with what they're paying with utility rates. It's across the board, and rightful concern. And so when you see this price tag, you think to yourself, that seems astronomical. It is astronomical. And, so how is that going to impact me even worse when I'm already struggling to pay my bill? It already feels like, I'm writing bigger checks than I ever have before. But I'm hoping you can explain a little bit about, how much more we're paying for the sludge removal right now. And that effectively, as soon as we turn on this new technology, how there's a switch that happens where instead of us paying for sludge to get removed, it's shifting to the payoff payments to pay off for this new technology. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. Just from a background standpoint, in wastewater, we've got what's called an operational budget, OPEX, and a capital budget, CAPEX. And so things that we pay for operationally, staffing, electricity bills, chemicals, that sort of thing, and sludge hauling, that all comes out of OpEx. OpEx dollars have to be funded one for one. If we have $100 that we're spending in operations, we need to collect that $100 in rates. On a capital side, those projects are usually bonded, and we pay for them over, like a 20-year process. So the $194 million of project that you've got in front of you isn't paid for in 1 year. That's paid for like you would a house over a longer time period. That sludge, however, that sludge disposal is paid for every single year. So by doing this project, we're going to go from where we are today at $13.5 million a year of sludge disposal down to $2 million a year of sludge disposal. So we have essentially a surplus of nearly $11 million a year that can go towards paying for that project.
And we have no clue where the sky's limit is on sludge removal either. I mean, it could be $20 million a year by the time.
Correct.
So I mean, that's the other part of it too. Last question here as well. I know it's kind of buried in when you're talking about as expensive as technology as this dry ERS is, but there's two other elements in the plan that was laid out to us. One of them was Farmer's Alley and a pipe replacement there, a pipe from I think it was 1882 that's failing. And then the other one we're talking about, Kleinstock Preserve, which is, I think that was about a $2 to $3 million project, if I'm not mistaken, in here as well. But you're talking about through one of the most pristine, perfect pieces of nature within the city that we have. And I was just wondering if you could touch on those, about why those are so important to add on to this plan and make sure that those happen as soon as possible. I know we're cutting it close on time, so anything you can do to kind of cliff note it, that would be appreciated. But I thought it was important to elevate those as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's we talk a lot about the wastewater treatment plant. We talk a lot about the processes, but there's also just in the city over 300 miles of sewer pipe that get the stuff to the plant. We also have over 100 miles of interceptor that connect us out to our townships, and then each one of those townships and other communities that we serve has their own pipes. We've got over 900 miles of pipes that make up the system. We don't spend a lot of time in sewer talking about that. Some of the pipes need some help. There are a lot of repair things that we do every year, including pipe lining. Most all pipes throughout kind of downtown and in the core city are going to be rehabilitated over time with what we call lining, cast in place pipe lining or cured in place pipe lining. That being said, there are some areas where we're just going to have to dig it up. It is something where the pipes have gone too long or they're undersized. That example I gave on Farmer's Alley that's in the project plan, that's a 6-inch sewer right now, so it's undersized. We can't fit our cleaning tools in it. Our smallest tools are made for 8-inch pipes. So, we really need some help to replace that line to then, in the future help support, our businesses and communities that are in downtown. In Kleinstock, that line's from 1929. It does, have some areas that we can't get to it, so access is an issue. We also have where we have either drop grade, backfall, or structural condition issues with the pipes, and we need to go in and fix them. There's also, if you look into the transcript of the public comments, there's a lot of erosion that has happened out there at the site. And so that erosion not only impacts our ability to get equipment onto the sewer, but it also can impact the sewer itself. So a lot of the comments were focused on making sure that we fix the root cause of the corrosion, so that we're not having to come back out there again. And we do have kind of all those elements into play. Also recognizing that that is a nature preserve, and it's very sensitive. So our techniques and what we construct out there has to be aesthetically pleasing and not harm the environment any greater extent than what's there right now. So we recognize that, and there's some comments related to those concepts in those in the transcripted remarks.
Within the 500-page plan details for tonight in the packet. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your good questions. Commissioner Prado, Vice Mayor Hess.
Sure. Those are my questions, Chris. But I was going to mention those 500 pages. That was a fun read. Thank you. But it just shows to me that you've done your homework. You've been working on this for
2 years.
so many years. And again, having visited that wastewater treatment plant, seeing the enormity of it, seeing how it's run, it's truly amazing. And for anybody in the community who really wants to see it, you're open for visits. You're open to have anybody come and see what's going on there. And I can't imagine the amount of work that's gone into this, the conferences, the research, all of the staff coming together and really working on this, and coming out with a win-win for the environment and for the people and for our sludge. So I really appreciate your work on this, and I encourage the community to visit the wastewater treatment plant. Or to, what is the week? When is the week?
Public Services Week.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we'll be here on the May 20th and May 22nd. So I believe May 22nd is water and wastewater. Both of that will be at 1415 Harrison. Come on out. Free food. We'll feed you 5:30 to 7:30. Eat, learn about bugs, learn about wastewater, and we'll take a tour of the plant.
What's better than that?
Okay. Nothing,
Thank you.
right?
May 22nd, be there.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Baker. When I think about things, what you and your team have done when you talk about trying to save money and lower the cost for our residents, and to forward think of things that could happen in the future, that's great asset management within your department. I mean, you're planning ahead. Think about what we have that is happening within the city. We've got an event center coming. We've got development coming. We have new schools. We have new businesses open, and these are all going to be adding to what your department does every day. And I think it's great that we're thinking about how can we save this money in the future. Unfortunately, we can't save it now because you have to spend some to get some. That's just the way the world works. But I do definitely commend you guys on looking for those funds, and hopefully we can get tons of money from the individuals and the entities that we need to make sure that this gets done. This is a core service. This is something that we have to supply to our residents, that we have to make sure is in a working and function order. I want to be able to go and do certain things and know that it's not harming our environment, and that's what you guys are looking into. I will say I really do thank you for having this in here and giving the information about Mike Anderson doing that skit on Public Media Network, because him doing those things there and just talking about just anything that's happening within the city, that's a great way for individuals to start to really learn what's going on here. So I just want to say, thank you for that, and thank you for working to save the city some money so we can start to invest those in other things once we really take care of the core services that we need to take care of, because there's tons of things that we need to work on. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Decker. Other questions? I have a couple for you, Director Baker, here. So just to be clear, right now, we, and this has to be done by the end of April here, that we are approving this plan, which doesn't mean you're starting work on it tomorrow. That means you're being authorized to submit to a competitive process, Clean Water CW SRF submittal, right? So this is really the beginning of, the actual obtaining the resources, hopefully, to do this work. And I presume it is fairly competitive at the state level, so you're looking at those items as well. If it is not fully funded, or if it's just very, very partially funded, is there an opportunity to make multiple requests related to a project like this? Or what's the process going to be once we see what happens in September?
Sure. So I think the most important thing to take account once we go through this process is where do we come in on scoring. The scoring matrix is really kind of a statutory requirement of the SRF process, so that if we score, for example, really low, and we just resubmit the same plan next year, we're likely to get the same score. So I think seeing what our score is going to be very important for us as we work through that iteration. So there is, some things we could do to potentially sweeten the pot. However, we feel that we've presented like the best overall project plan forward. So we don't think we've left anything on the table, so to speak, in terms of everything that we've got it here. If there could be maybe a couple points within 5 points that maybe we feel that it's in the plan, but Eagle didn't give us the points, and we may need to clarify that better or restate it or provide better evidence next time to get, say, 5 more points. But that would be the long and the short of it. If we come up, say, 30 or 40 points short, then we're going to have to seek funding dollars elsewhere. We are seeking dollars through other sources. We've also had some conversations, some preliminary conversations with the county administrator to talk about bonding potential, just to ask the question of, hey, what's the city's best bond plan in terms of rate and term, and then compare that to the county. Hey, what's your best bonding plan in terms of rate and term, and could we make a deal? No different than how you may shop around for a mortgage. You've got Bank A and Bank B. This is say Bank A. Maybe Bank B could have a better rate and term for us. We don't know that. We haven't gone through and done the homework, but we're talking with Mr. Catlin and Mr. Cole and making sure that they're aware of this project, and we're kind of working through that together. So that's not an ask that's on the table, but that's some of behind the scenes of what we're doing. We're also putting together a letter of intent for WIFIA that's federal through the EPA. This project may qualify for that as well. And our consulting engineer is working on this. They have also just retained a funding expert for water and wastewater projects that are big scope and may draw like federal funding. So if we're not successful this round, we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to look at everything and have check-ins and see where things might shake out. We anticipate that there is going to be a large portion of this project that is going to be rate funded. Certainly anything that's grant funded is going to be sort of icing on the cake. It's going to help. But our analysis, our fiscal analysis that we've done with the cost of sludge hauling where it's at, that kind of really helps to help pay for this project. And there's a lot of room there. We talked last time about project payback period, everything else. A lot of that, those numbers and those assumptions are based on how high sludge disposal gets. Some other things that have been happening in the news as we've been putting this project together is that the state of Michigan, due to regulatory concerns with landfills, is perhaps seeking a price increase for tipping fees at the state level. So that would apply to us as well, and that would raise our cost. So there continues to be great justification in the project itself. To fund this, we've been working with the Foster Group on various analysis of, what if scenarios of funding. And, so far everything continues to look positive and continue to support us moving forward with this project. So if we're not successful with this bite at the apple, we'll be back for more.
Okay, appreciate that. Very helpful. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Seeing none. Is there anyone in the chambers here who would like to comment on this item? It's item H2. Please come to the podium, give us your name, and whether you live in the city. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, the item here is the adoption of a resolution adopting a $196,829,913 FY 2026 Clean Water State Revolving Fund Project Plan for wastewater system improvements and designating James J. Baker, P.E., as the authorized project representative. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by by Commissioner Cooney,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Decker. Further discussion, Commissioners? I just have one point to make note of, is that this was not the first time this presentation was made. We've seen this presentation before, actually perhaps in, I would suggest, in more detail even than tonight. I appreciate all that effort and opportunity for us to really spend some time going through this really and critically important process and understanding what it's going to take. So thank you for really helping us be fully informed on this. Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Praedel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next, reports and legislation. City Manager Ritzman, do you have a report?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief this evening. Our next City Commission meeting is not until May the 12th. We have an election in beginning of May, so that pushes that first meeting to the second Monday. So in between there is May is National Bike Month, and we have activities planned, and especially during the week of May 10th to the 17th, that's Kalamazoo Area Bike Week. And then on the 10th of May, it will be the Mayor's Bike Ride, and that starts at 10 a.m., and it's at the Portage Eliason Nature Preserve. And then on same day, the 10th, will be Bikes in the Zoo on the Kalamazoo Mall, and that will run from noon to 4 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Manager Ritzman. Now is the opportunity for Commissioner comments. Any Commissioner comments this evening? Yeah, Commissioner Cooney.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of people came down tonight talking about the Civil Rights Board, and I have two comments. One is, I hope we can find a way very soon to give them a full complement to their board so that they can do their work effectively. Second, the goal of that board is to make sure that marginalized people are not discriminated against in accessing the housing that they deserve. And I believe that is the goal of that committee, and that is the goal of this commission, and I know it is the goal of the mayor. So I'm hoping we can find a way to keep our eyes on the prize and work to make sure to effectively realize that goal. That's what I want to say on that. Secondly, I think every once in a while God sends us a person that reminds us about what life is really about. And I think that Pope Francis was one of those people. I think that he saw war and tried to stop it. He saw hungry people and he tried to feed them. He saw people that were immigrating from their country because they couldn't live there, and he asked for compassion and he asked for care for them. And I just hope that we can look to him to realize what our basic humanity is about and what are the values that we should stand up for.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooney. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say a couple things, kind of addressing some of the comments that were made today. Not a lot because I know it is late, but I know that here we all strive to, and I know our community strives to, to create a community where people can thrive from birth. That's starting with our RX kids, housing. We are now collaborating and have been collaborating with the county to reconstruct a facility for the families, for our houseless families. We assist organizations like KNHS and the Land Bank in order to build housing. We don't build it ourselves, but we help and we assist them in building when it comes to funding like that. So I just had to say that because, yes, we can always do more. We need to do more. But we have to take, I believe, that we have to make sure that we're doing it right. But we can't take all day to do it. Yes, I do agree with that. When it comes to the Civil Rights Board and the electing or the deciding of, you know, what applications get passed through. I know I've had this conversation before, and you know, that is a big responsibility. I don't believe that that responsibility should fall solely on our mayor to make those decisions. Because we are a group here, and I think that we should all have some input into what that decision could be. So I would love to be able to, you know, maybe take a look at that policy, take a look at that procedure, and see, you know, how we can lessen the load on the mayor so it's not just him making that decision. I do want to say a few things that are going on around the city. So if you live within the Westnedge Hill neighborhood, we are new and reestablished in the Westnedge Hill area. There are a couple events that will be going on that we're trying to kickstart this going. So Sunday, May 4th at Parkwood Upjohn between 1 and 4 p.m. We will be having our very first neighborhood bike fix-it event, and that is courtesy of Open Roads Bike Program. And again, that's Sunday, May 4th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Parkwood Upjohn. Also on May 4th, we will be doing a children's clothing swap. And again, this is all brought to you with collaboration of Westnedge Hill Neighborhood Association and also the City of Kalamazoo. And we are also going to be having our annual garage sales, and I believe that is May 3rd from 9 to 5 p.m. So if you live within that community, within the Westnedge Hill neighborhood, there is a survey that is out on the website, westnedgehill.org. Please take a look at it. Please take the survey for us because we are really trying to build our neighborhood association. So when we get to the master plans, that we will have our plan in place to be able to put within that. I think it's all that I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Pradel?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank folks who came out tonight. It was a very full group tonight, but whenever I see kids in the audience, I always want to thank parents for especially coming out with their kids. You know, I'm one of those individuals where some of my very early recollections of my dad and my mom were them voting, you know, and standing in line to vote in an election. I can't say I can recall them ever coming to a city commission election, but you know that sticks with young people. Even if they're 4 or 5 years old, they'll remember it. And I know that's a huge sacrifice to do that when you're doing that. But appreciate the people who made the effort to come out tonight in general, but especially want to thank the parents who brought their kids. Speaking of people sent from above to change the world, Don, I think, is one of those people for sure. We're lucky to have him in our graces, but also just everything he's done in this community. I just want to recognize Don and Kathy. They recently and unexpectedly Kathy lost her sister, Don's sister-in-law, in a very unexpected, tragic way. And I just want to let you know we're keeping you all in our thoughts and doing our best to lift you up right now through that. I know it's got to be an incredibly difficult time as it is, and have that come to the stack, it's a lot. So we're thinking about you all. The other thing, I just kind of some observations as well, is that you have nights like tonight, and it just feels like so much, so many challenges, so many things people are struggling with, and that is very much felt, very much heard, I think, by everybody up here. And you know, you think about the fact that we're only 3-4 months into a new administration at the federal level, and really for us as a city, we haven't really been touched yet, you know. And the reality is that a lot of the consequences of the decisions that are happening now, a lot of the I guess, the tangible impacts on us as residents of the city, they're coming. They're coming. And I think like the point I want to make is that I feel like part of the strategy is to kind of divide us. And you know, we have a community that I feel like has a definite bent on trying to make the world a better place, on social justice, progressive values, and we got to stick together, because the challenges that we're about to face, the freight train that's coming, you know, by policies, budget cuts, you know, impacts on the economy, those are going to be real, tangible things that are going to impact us. And it's not all just going to be felt by the city. It's going to be felt by people who provide services to people who are residents that help the most vulnerable in our community. And the reality is that we're all going to be faced with the point of trying to decide how we're going to help people when the challenges are already great and more people need help and more challenges arise. We got to be creative. We got to be smart. We got to be unified. We have to be able to know that we have an ability as this community to punch above our weight. I believe that we can meet that moment, but we're sure as hell not going to meet that moment if we're pointing the fingers at each other and infighting with each other about issues that we can easily resolve. I know that oversimplifies the moment, but that's a reality we're going to face. We can either just, you know, just throw our hands up and say, well, I guess this is just the way it is, or we can prepare ourselves creatively to try to solve issues now and the ones that are to come that are going to be far greater than any one of us or some small group can tackle by themselves. Moment's coming. I hope we're ready. The other thing too, I just wanted to make sure to mention as well, for so many of the issues that people are bringing forward tonight, we're in a very exciting period in an Imagine Kalamazoo 2035. Like, you have an actual chance right now to still give your stamp of things that you want to see happen, challenges you want to see us meet, to actually put it down on a piece of paper to make it happen. And by all intents and purposes, by our last Imagine Kalamazoo 2025 plan, we made a heck of a lot of that stuff happen. And so I have a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to continue to make those things happen. But if people aren't showing up, if people aren't contributing their input in these final phases, it's not going to end up being into fruition. So it's great that people are coming and sharing it at the podium. Hope people take a chance to engage in that Imagine Kalamazoo 2035 process. And you also heard people bring it up as well. We're in a city commission election year. And, you know, I'm sure a number of people are trying to make decisions about running. And I hope people understand the gravity and the weight of sitting in one of these seats. Because again, you know, it's not exactly the easiest job in the world right now, but I anticipate in these years to come are going to be some of the more challenging years that people have ever sat in these seats. So if somebody wants to step up, I hope people step up, but I hope people think about the gravity and the decision-making that's going to have to come from these seats in the next 3 to 4 years. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Prado. Vice Mayor Hess.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Prado. Appreciate that. And a few things. A lot of us celebrated Easter. I appreciate Rabbi Simone Schicker lifting up our community in her prayer after the Jewish faith has celebrated Passover. But what an exclamation point on that celebration of Easter with the death of the Pope. He was a great man. He lived a life of great faith, of meaning, of purpose, and bringing meaning and purpose into the lives of billions of Catholics around the world and other believers around the world. He certainly has inspired me, and I pray that he rests in peace. Congratulations to the Western Michigan team who brought notoriety and some good news to the city of Kalamazoo with their national championship. During the game, the announcer said at the end, when it was very clear that Western was going to win that game, he said, "There are no bad days in Kalamazoo." And I smiled. And sitting here, I know there are bad days. I know people have a lot of bad days in Kalamazoo. And it's up to us to try and make them better. But we can't fix it all. It takes us. It takes a community. It takes us working together. So I went to the Attorney General, Dana Nessels' town hall with Julie Rogers. She put up a slide that said, what can you do? She was talking about the legislation or these lawsuits that they've already filed to try and work for the people of Michigan. But one of the things the people are wondering, what can we do? And here's what she said. What can you do? Contact your elected representatives. Share and amplify information. And check your information, make sure it's correct. Boycotts work. Protest. Create community. And this is what you were talking about, Commissioner Pradel, about that we can either have chaos or we can have community. Let's choose community together. Stay engaged and informed. Refuse to give up your joy. And I'm going to refuse to give up the memory of Pope Francis. Live your values, love your neighbors, and look out for each other. And yes, Mayor Anderson, it always gives me pause when we end the meeting with loving Kalamazoo, because each of us up here does. And my condolences to you, Commissioner Cooney, on the loss of your sister-in-law. And I look forward to all the good things that are coming for Kalamazoo, and one day that there are no bad days.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. As every one of us up here does, there are many other things we participate in other than just sitting up here in the dais. And there were a couple things I did this last weekend. One was attend a memorial service for an individual that died very suddenly from a surprise heart attack. He was not that old of a person. It just reminds me, I think we just did didn't we do a proclamation within the last few months relative to heart health? Right. Just a reminder there, go see a doctor. If you're a little bit out of breath, there might be issues like that. Very sad situation for the family. And then I went to a very different kind of event, and that was over at Mayor's Riverfront Park, where our Parks Department sponsors a giant egg hunt, I guess that's what you call it, and they do it in 2 shifts. Really, the whole stadium fills up. You know, there's just eggs in the grass as far as the eye can see, and I got there in time for the first, I guess, crew was clearing out, and the second crew was coming in, and the line was just really through the entire parking lot. So there were parents, families, kids, literally standing in the parking lot for 45 minutes waiting to get into this event. And a couple things out of that is that it may seem like a superfluous, kind of a throwaway fun activity that maybe is not as serious as some of the things we talk about, but I would suggest not. Those are opportunities for families to create memories and spend time together. It was amazing to me to see how many young people wanted it, even though they stood in line for a long, long time, still wanted to stand in line again to have their picture taken with the Easter Bunny. So I want to make sure that we can adequately fund those kinds of events and not dismiss them as a not important thing to do. That the city does here, thousands of people coming together in a way, sharing a space, being in community. But leaving there, I recognized that a young man had lost his life in a senseless shooting. And I know, all shootings are senseless, and it's horrible when they happen, but there's something particularly poignant about this one, is that this was a young man who had been in the practice of carrying a gun himself and felt that he needed to, and connected with a community icon, Michael Wilder, who was visited his school with Big B, Afonso Harris, and engaged and really made some choices to change the course of his life. And that young man, has a child in his life and one on the way, who he will not be able to participate in an Easter egg hunt. The children will not have him there. And it is profoundly, desperately, horribly discouraging that we still keep having to manage our relationship as a community with this issue. And the fact that people, including many people who have been attending these mobile nuisance parties, continue to carry firearms and feel that for their own safety they need to. I know there's folks in the room from Isaac who've spent a great deal of time doing that work. We're very focused on that as a city, lots of people pulling together, but I can't emphasize even to myself how important it is that we keep doing that work. There will be, I think, I'm not certain about all the times here, but I know for Montine and his family going forward, I think there is a candlelight vigil. I believe that's actually tomorrow night. There will be a visitation. That's going to be at Harper's Funeral Home. And then the service itself, I believe, is going to be on this coming Saturday. And I'm sure the family needs a lot of support from the community. I love you, Kalamazoo. We are adjourned.